All right.
Well, it
Let me
says
know if
we're
anybody's
live.
here.
Yeah, I don't know if we're live yet. Just trying to
No?
figure this out. You know, are we live? Are we going? Are people there? Can they see us?
I have no idea. You and I could just talk for an hour with our hats on.
Yeah. For some reason, I'm just not seeing it on YouTube yet. Just want to make. Oh no, we're live. We're definitely live. That's all we're doing today. Is
dancing.
Yeah, okay.
I'm dancing that song that goes dum 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 dum. You know? Isn't that adorable? Dun, 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 dun.
So here we are. It's Halloween.
I can't hear you because I have this stupid. I don't believe we both have shit with ears and within reach. I was like, but you shouldn't have one. This is my kids, my babies.
No, this was a Halloween costume I did a few years ago. It's a full bear costume. I don't have it on now because I don't want to.
The ears look like a mouse.
Oh, excuse me.
Well, they do. Hey, I'm not mad at you. There is a mouse bear. Russia does have a mouse bear, the Ukraine mouse bear. They'll have that too. I gotta put glasses on. Hey, we look like you and I are starring in some anime. We're like we're two wizards, we're two schmucks, and then somehow we end up in a girls' school, and all the women like us. Oh, anime.
Yeah.
Oh, hi, Roger.
So,
wait, Roger, check it out. I got it.
Yeah.
I'm very happy. Thank you for your help in identifying it. It's funny because just about 2 weeks ago, I was saying, are there any Batra toys out there? And this guy had, hey, how are you? So I was like, do they make more Batra toys? And then, hi, Mandy, hello. Good to see people hanging out. And they had one at a reasonable price, and I splurged. So that's where I'm wasting the money you guys have given me. Cheers. What's up? I have a different position from my camera this time, so I feel a lot better. And my hair looks like I was like worrying about my hair because it's disgusting, but now I've got this stupid hat on.
Yeah, it's you. It looks good.
Thank you. I did. It does. I think I'm rocking this.
Really?
Oh, with the glasses, I really look like I'm playing some. What am I? I'm not Minecrafting. I'm doing. So hey, look, I'm hentai 54723575657. Everybody. So anybody have anything to say while we're sitting here figuring out, because we don't know what we're doing, just like the podcast. Did anybody watch the episode? Did anybody listen to episode 13? And I hope you liked it. I actually thought it was really good. I mean, I like, for what we do, us two idiots wearing these hats, but we didn't know we didn't know if it would be good enough because we don't like those movies on the whole.
Right. I mean, and it wasn't like we were going to review them beginning to end and dissect them. Because,
we did. We got into what was wrong with each one and what was right with two of them.
Yeah.
Oh, Staten Island. Yeah.
Yeah.
Staten Island. I hate this place. But I haven't been watching anything.
Really?
Well, we recorded that episode. I mean, I have, but where's my book? My little nerd book. I have, but it was all forgettable. Thank you. Glad you liked episode 13. Let's see. Take a look in the bookie book. Hello. Hey. Yeah, I've seen mostly really bad stuff.
Oh, wow.
What? Hey, Scott.
Aren't you tired?
Hey, Scott, go to sleep. Hey, Scott, it's so good to see you. Thanks for plugging the show. I'm glad you liked it. That movie is not good. Those movies are just not good, but it's like they're the slasher in the room. You can't ignore them. And oh, cool. Thank you.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, that's a good one. Yeah, it's like if whatever the first beer was, it stinks. Yeah, Jason X. I can't hate on Jason X, but it's a smarter brand of dumb. I mean, they didn't try to do anything new in a way. Once they got him going, he ends up literally in the woods again for a cheap laugh, and it's like it works. But even if you're going to be self-aware, at least put better jokes in when you're being self-aware. I also thought the design looked terrible. He really does look like he hangs out with the wrestling monster from The Keep, and the two of them like compliment each other. Here, you look great. No, really, it's not your fault. It's all the scenes of the motorcycle. That's what fucked up your movie. right? The Keep is terrible. People love that thing.
The book is very good. I enjoy the book.
That's what I hear, but I mean, does the book have endless scenes of Scott, whatever his name is, riding his motorcycle?
No, but when you open up the book, all you hear is Tangerine Dream. That's all.
Oh, wow.
That's pretty. Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, the opening of the Keep is absolutely exhausting. It's like it's like watching somebody build a model of a tank, and you're not allowed to help. It's like an hour of a tank going through a town. We know World War II. We don't need this fucking buildup. We've read about World War II. We haven't learned any lessons from it, obviously. But yeah, the Keep. You can keep the Keep. Hello. Hey, good to see you. Hello, Satanic Mechanic. Hope all your mechanic stuff's going well. Hope everybody out there as well. But yeah, we finally got our 13th episode out, which we did. It's our first episode that we did in person, and we wore our masks, and hopefully we're not going to die in a week. Yeah. Or maybe, actually, it might be the best thing on earth if we died on Tuesday night, depending on how things go. But let's try to be happy. But well, what have you watched? What have you watched in the last?
I have watched a ton of.
Everybody, hope you have a drink, and I hope you have some snacks.
And I hope you're wearing some kind of stupid costume.
So yeah, this is our kid's baby hat, and I usually have it on Winnie the Pooh thing in here, but I figured it's Evan the Pooh tonight. I could wear my Booska mask. I do have this in reserve, but there's a lot of dust on the inside, and Japanese schoolyard predator.
Yeah, we won't get flagged on YouTube for that thing.
Oh God, it's Booska. It's great. Anyway, this just wanted to let everybody know that this part of the episode is brought to you by Kellogg's. Kellogg's Frosted Flakes with marshmallows. It's fucking terrible.
Yeah.
You can tell because it's very full, and I've had it for like 3 weeks.
Sarah, you don't just keep that by the bottom of your desk, do you?
I'm not at that point yet. I'm not at that point in my life yet. My favorite thing, Richie Petrullo, the cop who passed away, the cop who hit a little bit too much of this while on the force, unfortunately. When he was living with Tom Morrissey, I was talking to him in his bedroom, which he had painted black because he was mad at the landlords. That's brilliant. And he opened up a drawer, a clothes drawer on the dresser next to him, the bottom drawer, while he's laying on his mattress. And there's just potato chips in the drawer. I don't even think there was a bag in there. He had just poured potato chips into a drawer, opens the thing up, sticks his hand into it. It was like lunchtime with Bam Bam Bigelow or something. It was fucking amazing. And he's doing this without, like, it's like a movie. He's just doing it like Homer Simpson. I've always wanted to use that in a story. But anyway, I don't think these are very good because they put too many marshmallows in them. I do like the cereal on its own. I'm not being paid to say this. Happy Halloween. It's available at Stop and Shop. And the new ShopRite, Staten Island. And the new ShopRite on Highland Boulevard, which is incredibly clean. But I already got into a fight with a guy because he wasn't wearing his mask over his nose. I honestly did. I almost got into a parking lot do-un. But
come on.
I was in a mood.
When's the last time either of us knew to keep our mouths shut?
I'm doing much better with that. I mean, honestly, I didn't flip out when I saw a centipede the other day. I'm taking a lot of things calmer than I used to. Maybe too late in the game, but it's working. Although I'm so happy that we have the car, but you know, driving on Staten Island, it makes you hate mankind, Cactus Jack, and Dude Love. That was a good line. I got to keep that one. Yeah. I don't have a job, so what am I gonna do? I just sent a pitch over to Mike Norton.
Oh, great.
Yeah, so I talked to Sarah about it. It was an idea we had coming back from a convention years ago. It's probably been done 12 times since. It's probably been on Supernatural 80 times. I don't know. American blah, blah, blah. But I have not watched anything in the last week other than, I think, an Ultraman Z and an episode of Captain Jack in Japanese. It's not like you have to know what's going on there because it's just a guy in a suit and they're blowing shit up around him and a couple of other guys on the ground. And it's like the coolest DC Comics mystery in space idiotic kids show. If I had seen that as a kid, I would have been the happiest man on earth. Or the happiest kid on earth. But that's about it for the last week. I mean,
Wow.
have not had. I've been really busy, working, organizing, catching up, running around doing errands, getting my goddamn medication. So, what have you watched? Anything?
A ton of crap. I've been just
Oh God,
watching
I'm jealous. I want to watch a ton of crap.
Well, here's something. Have you ever seen Death Metal Zombies?
Here's the problem. I don't know, because every one of those rock and roll horror movies is like the same, except for the guys who came out of the grave like this. The one with the Nazi, the one with Adolf Hitler.
Right.
And I like that song. When you put it on one of our episodes, I cracked that.
Right, that was Heavy Metal Zombies. This is pretty amazing, Evan. Like, I think,
wow.
I really, really think you need to watch this. I have not laughed this much at a bad movie in ages.
I'm going for it. Hold on. Where can I find it?
Right now, the only place it's on is Prime Video that I found it.
Oh, I think we have that.
And it's really worth the watch. It is hilariously bad.
Are they gonna do black metal zombies next and emo? Or,
I'm sure.
Castro.
Yeah. It's mostly heavy metal though. It seems like they gravitate. I don't know if there are any ska zombies. Maybe because they can't walk fast, or
you need so many of them. You can't have the same guy play every zombie. So you need a lot.
Yeah.
It might be a really boring movie if they can't, watch them. Get them to pick it up. Their bones break.
It's not. Yeah, it's not cost effective to have ska zombies. It just never works out.
There's our next movie, our first movie, and a name of a band right there. You got to have the word ska in it. The Skanking Dead. I'm sure that's the name of a zine out there. So the Skanking Dead.
Well, I think you need more pun.
The Skanking Dead Skankers.
Yeah, I don't know.
Please give us your suggestions for the don't
Zombie.
Worry, at least the music one. Yes, Scambi. Scambi? Sounds like Gumby. Like that's like So what is good bad about Death Metal Zombies?
Well, it's very low budget. It's it's better than a student film, I would say. But the acting, and the editing, and it's just priceless. I would actually say that it might be worth doing a sit down episode about this and a couple of the movies I've seen lately.
Oh yeah. Sounds good. I mean, I think I can hook up Amazon Prime, so I'll just have to ask people how to do it. So it's what year is this? Is this monstrosity?
95. 1995.
That's old. I'm surprised I haven't heard of it.
Wow. Well,
What do you mean,
Well, I mean, there's movies everywhere. Wouldn't you think we'd be done with this shit by now? That we would have seen everything, and we're not even close.
I was looking for something to watch on YouTube because I was bored and didn't want to move from my chair, and everything I found that was on YouTube, if I just put in horror movie, was from the last 5 years and looked like it was made by, people on a very bad computer. It's amazing. These movies are worse than movies made with, foam latex back in the day when one guy knew how to, one guy knew how to tell jokes, one guy knew how to sing, one guy could dance, and one guy could do makeup, and they made this horrible movie. But these movies are awful, and they churn out. These same people everybody's a mega Don Doler. They just and then dinosaurs on an island with bikini women, and then and now they can have anything because you don't have to have zombies or zombies. You don't have to just have people in bad makeup because you could just CGI in an alien. Or do you see that footage of an alien that's fighting some Jesus guy or something, and it's from. Anyway, I'm not making any sense, but
okay. But we have two possible ska names.
Yeah, Scombies. We were talking about Scombies, but it's hard to get it. I don't know. Skeletons. There are the skeletons, but skeletons. Derek Morgan and the skull. Yeah, we're gonna have to work on this because obviously this is an idea that's gonna go through the roof. I mean,
right.
fourth wave ska. Ska is dead, or so, one of those things. You can't pick it up fast enough, or some bullshit like that. Or this song sucks, so the zombies will kill you. The ska rap sucks. Scrap. Yeah, I don't think. Well, I guess we're not making that movie then, so fuck it. Somebody please take that idea, run with it, skank with it.
Pick up that idea.
Pick up that idea. Yeah, because zombies are just like, pick up that axe. Pick up that gun. Ugh. So, Pittsburgh Bad in the Night is called Scoblins. Oh, it sounds like something you gotta get a doctor to take off of you. It's painful. I got the Scoblins in Pittsburgh.
Well, there's a sad for that.
I was getting some pierogies. I was down getting some pierogies, looking for some pinball in Pittsburgh, trying not to drive over those bridges because everybody's killing me there. And I got the Scoblins. There's worse things you can get in Pittsburgh than the Scoblins.
Oh man. So yeah, I think that definitely that's a film that I think you're gonna get. I think you're gonna laugh at that.
Maybe we can do it as the next one. I don't know.
Well, I have several bad movies. The other one, now this doesn't quite count because I'm not finished with it because you have to watch it in spurts so you don't die. No, I was Veronica.
I just watched a movie. Where do you? Oh, wait. Does this have anything to do with Danzig's company?
This is Danzig wrote and directed.
It should be called "I'm a Little Shit Goblin."
Wow.
It's probably just a reason. He probably just financed this to shoot his house so he didn't have to go through a real estate place, and then he could send people. You got to buy Veronica if you want to look at the house I'm selling. The Tasmanian Devil, the life-size Tasmanian Devil, and the Wolverine statues, and my mother are not for sale. Don't laugh.
I feel like Veronica with death metal zombies are a perfect bad movie balance. One is a lot of fun, and one is like dying over and over and over again.
Does the one that feels like dying, does that have anything to do with the lead singer of the Misfits and Samhain?
I can't say.
Bullshit.
I will give you a hint. I will give you a hint. Mother. That's the only hint you got.
I'm not sure. I need another hint.
Mother.
Hank Rollins.
Yes.
Right. Hank Rollins.
So that's something I'm not done with. I think I have another half hour. I watch it as soon as the toxins go down, and I could watch a little more. Now the other movie, here's a movie I would like you to watch just because I would like your opinion on it. I finally caught The Wailing from 2016. It's a South Korean horror.
I watched it. I saw it.
What did you?
I found it disappointing. I didn't love it.
I felt like they overdid the mystery to the point where I couldn't reconcile some of the scenes from earlier in the movie to fit in with what happened.
Too long. A lot of Korean movies are super long. They're all 2 hours plus. I mean, I don't think you needed the whole scene. So this story is about murders in a small Korean village.
Right.
And there's, it's, I think, what is it? There's like a sergeant, or there's an officer who's who's told to take care of this, and he's obviously out of his. People are burning or something crazy like that. I can't remember. There's a fire at the beginning. I saw it a few months ago.
Yes, there's an incident where it looks like someone has killed their family, and it sets up a mystery where bizarre things are happening in the small rural South Korean community, and it's possible it's supernatural. It's possible that it's, a medical condition. And there's a lot of red herrings and other things to keep the mystery going till the very end. And that was my biggest problem.
The shaman is brought in, and there's his family. And I felt I had the same problem with this that I had with several Korean films, like The Host, which I really do like. But I feel like the movie is so long that it has time to start being bad.
Well,
they run out of ideas. A lot of comedy in the beginning, and this might be cultural because I know a lot of Sarah and Ace they like watch Korean dramas and videos, like that's their thing right now. Our kid loves the K-pop, and it got into the shows. I mean, they watched Train to Busan, which I said we should watch it. They went out and watched it without me, which was nice. And there is a real interesting mix of comedy and tragedy in their soaps, even more so than the Japanese ones that we used to watch, Sarah and I. But it's like The Host and The Wailing both had this hour-long, it's a mystery, but it's also kind of character study, and it's kind of comedy, and there's a lot of wonky stuff in it that throws you off. And then the next thing you know, it's 45 minutes of very serious, dragged out, this scene won't end. I don't remember what the bald monk guy is doing. I don't remember what the shaman is doing. I don't remember the characters that they bring back from the first. It feels like the movie goes, there's a city nearby, or it changes tone so much, and then I think it spins its wheels, and I didn't like the ending at all. And
my problem with The Host is something that I don't know if is very rational with me, but I hate movies in which characters appear to die in the movie, are found out to be alive,
and then killed again.
And I felt The Host, without giving really anything away, that's all that happens in it half the time. You know, most of the characters go through this cycle. It did not work.
The Host has one of the best openings of a monster horror movie ever. I mean, I watched it 3 times in a row. I just kept watching because that was a scene that was like this is a scene that I've always wanted to see. Just no dramatic entrance, foreboding. It's just bam, something came out of the water, and it's so well done. Yeah. And then the next half hour, yeah, I agree. The next half hour of The Host I'm like, this movie is amazing. It had social commentary. It had the whole scene where they're quarantining everybody, and the officials are trying to calm everybody down, and the guy's beating the other guy because of the death. I just thought all that stuff that they were hosing people down. They didn't even know. The guy in the suit. I like the family. I like the family's problems. And then once they're done with their character study and whatnot, everybody splits up, and you're following multiple people. And again, forgetting, I don't mind watching a movie twice, but my time's way limited these days. And filmmakers seem to think everybody knows what they're working on. This is a big problem I have with everything being made these days, just about, that we are allowing so many loopholes, so many plot, people are, well, that's okay, it'll be in the extras, or, well, people edit things, they don't mind if something doesn't match up at the end. It's just bombardment for an hour and a half, 2 hours. And you're supposed to know somehow that it's like the person who is working on the movie seems to forget, to me, the people that outside of those 30 people that make decisions knows what the fuck your Bible looks like, knows what your screenplay looks like, knows what you've been working on this thing for 5 years or since you were a kid, and you love your story and you know your story, and you don't make certain facts and plot points logical to people because in your head it's obvious. I think this is a real. I'm conjecturing here, but I think it's
also, isn't it? I mean, I think that they could say about knowing you. That's always been a thing in your writing or in how you consume entertainment. The structure is important to you, and I think to some people it's just like, well, we're getting away with this. This is good enough.
And then they tell you, like anything, like any other business, here's the things you have to know to get into to write screenplays. And then every fucking screenplay you see for the next 6 months doesn't do it. You have to have this, and that. Here's the books you should buy, and then take this course, and then spend this money. And then you watch fucking Insidious. And you're like, this is 3 movies. This is 3 fucking movies. How do they afford this house? What does he do for a living? If it doesn't matter, why are we seeing him at work? What the fuck's going on with these people? Why does everybody have a huge house? Did they inherit money? These things build character. You just fucking cover it. Dark. What's that horrible ventriloquist puppet movie? Because I saw somebody pushing it on.
Oh, Is it Silent Witness?
No. Mute Witness is one. Silent Scream is another. How do they not smell rotting flesh in the house? Why do you need a ventriloquist in this fucking story at all, except to get to the stupid EC shot? To go through an hour and 45 minutes to get to an 8-page EC ending is asking a lot. And obviously that's what's big these days, because that's what they want. I mean, Oculus, you could sit there and poke holes in their entire movie all the fucking time. And I'm sorry, I feel like you're making a movie, you want to be taken seriously, and I guess there's no repercussions, just like in government these days. There are absolutely no repercussions for stupid movies.
Well, when we were talking about
movies,
when we were talking about the Friday the 13th movies, I think that one of the things that we were concerned about was how they didn't really give a rat's ass about keeping continuity working between movies that, over periods of years. Now it seems like they don't care about what happens with the continuity within a movie. It bothers me. And that was my problem with The Wailing. If I'm looking at The Wailing as being part mystery, there's parts of it that don't go together as a story well. It goes together more as, well, these are red herrings. These are Agatha Christie little asides that'll make you think, well, is this the person responsible, or is that the person responsible? And it just, that doesn't work for me.
They kept turning the same situation on a dime. They kept turning the coin constantly to make you wonder who is what. When you're dealing with the supernatural, a mystery is, you got to work a mystery kind of a little bit differently. If there really is the supernatural, then the mystery shouldn't hinge on things you will never in a million years know. If you don't know that somebody is a chrysalid, if you don't know that somebody has magic, and at the end they go, well, I mean, that's a fucking Superman story. Oh, I used super ventriloquism. I just made up a new power. I blew breath. You know what I mean? I had 3 robots. You didn't know I could make robots. It's bullshit screenwriting and concept. It looks beautiful. I mean, all the Korean films seem to look nice. Most films seem to look nice, but there's a nice eye in The Wailing. There's some beautiful scenes.
Yeah, and it's disturbing.
There are people who don't hear somebody doing something, the same. You can gussy it up, but when you have a movie where somebody doesn't hear somebody doing something 5-10 feet away because they're in some trees, that you act like each camera shot is another continent. That's one of my bugaboos in movies. I cannot stand. It doesn't take much to just go, this is the reason that they don't hear everybody screaming in the woods. They're in the shower back at the camp. Maybe they're fucking. I don't know why I said effing, but seriously, it's amazing how many I've seen a lot of backwoods movies lately, and not really my favorite genre, but I put it on and I've been drawing index cards or just organizing. You don't really have to watch those movies, if you know what I mean. You just look up when somebody says something, ooh, this is freaking eerie, and you watch the screen, you go, oh, they're dead. This movie sucks. And then you go back, take up your toenails, work on your taxes, size up your neighbors for serial killers. And 9 out of 10 of all these movies have somebody getting murdered in the silent fucking woods. When you don't have to live in the woods to hear something late at night from miles away. You hear shit on Staten Island, your gun pop, and it could be ages. You know what I mean? Right. I can hear the trains from here when it's late at night because it's quiet, and in the woods it's dead quiet, and everybody's ears keep turning off. And I'm like, I wish to God I had the personality to fucking just go write a screenplay and shove it out somebody, because I'm dirt cheap. You could pay me in fucking soda. You could. This part of the show is brought to us by Frankenberry.
Oh,
Frankenberry. It's not very good, but they know that for every 3 Count Chocula's that sell, some schmuck buys one of these. Thank you.
You said you didn't keep those. You said you didn't keep those, but why are they all by your desk? I still don't understand.
I brought them upstairs as a joke.
Oh, okay.
I did.
It's shtick.
I have 3 boxes. I got 3 boxes left. I was going to eat some, but I'm drinking beer. I was going to pour all 3 into one bowl. I've always wanted to do that.
Oh, God.
I've got blueberry.
What happened, though?
A few years ago, they put out everything, and I bought all of them. Sarah bought me these at Target because they disappear, and she's trying to kill me. So she also bought the flakes with the marshmallows. It's like all marshmallows. It's like cardboard. It's ugh. It's like eating those packs of to keep things fresh. They tell you not to eat the saline packs or whatever the hell they are. I don't know what they are, but I think I ate them. No, I'm not a Frankenberry man. Yummy Mummy is awful. Yummy Mummy might have been Fruit Brute. Well, that's the thing. A few years ago, they put out all 5. So, of course, the schmuck here buys all 5. Suffers through eat. I hate this. I hate this. It's like fucking watching Solo. I hate this. But I got to finish it. You know, right. The way I was raised, you don't throw food out.
Yeah.
I hate it. If you know the Tony the Tiger out yet, it stunk. Made me sick. So I've already eaten 2 boxes of Count Chocula.
Yeah. The only cereal I like is Cheerios. Actually, that's the only. But I
like Cheerios.
Really? Do you put sugar on Cheerios? Heart.
No, I don't.
Yeah.
But I don't eat out on them, and the kids love Cheerios. That was the only cereal we bought. And then when the pandemic hit, Sarah picked up a ton of Cheerios and off-brand because at that point we didn't have any money. So we've got like boxes and boxes of these fucking oats downstairs.
But do you have them in bags? Do you also have them in bags? You know?
No. Oh, the only bags we have are the ones that are half-eaten that nobody's touching. Because I got the Count Chocula. I got, I'm representing. I wore my stupid horror tie-in shirt. There we go. And I have socks. I got the whole shebang for a present a few years ago.
I have a shirt on too. I just have Mephistopheles.
I hope you have. Hey, look at that. Mephistopheles is our horror movie name. We just have to kill the band so they can't sue us. You know? Tuesday! But I was going to say shit. Oh, the Cheerios. I think the only thing we can use them for is if our basement floods, we can like the animal life can use them as little flotation devices.
Yeah.
You know? We have crickets. There's a cricket that got it, and it won't. You have food standard laws in the UK? I've eaten in the UK. You do not.
Wow. That's not going to play well.
Well, the one good thing about the UK, they got, that's kind of like a health version of not putting Fox television on. If I remember correctly, they banned Fox as fuckery. we do not allow fuckery anywhere except Parliament and whatever that house is that they show people running away with because they might get the COVID. That little mealy mountain. All the English politicians look like rats, and all our politicians smash breakfasts. I don't know if that's true or not. Let's get back to the horror.
Oh boy,
fake horror.
I thought I had seen this before, but I didn't see it all. But I finally saw Jack-O-Lantern, and that was something. This movie, that was really, 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 really dumb.
I've already
dumb.
Hackoween? Isn't there one called Hackoween or Hacko?
Yeah,
Hauntedween. That's it. It's Haunted.
Yeah.
The dumbest title. Which one is Jack-O-Lantern? Is this about the kid with his grandfather, or is that Hauntedween?
Yep. This is about the kid with his grandfather, and the grandfather, the actor, God bless him, he's over the top. It's amazing.
He is fascinating. Yeah. I recommend just for him. But isn't there a scene where they all go to a club, and a guy goes? So you get a band, and you get here's the fun guy in our social circles, and he literally does stand up outside the club.
Well, interesting. I watched this because it was on Joe Bob Briggs did it, and he explained that the director was Indian, and so there's aspects of the film that make it like a variety show. So that's why there's at the Halloween party that they go to, there's a stripper. Right. That's why when they go outside, there's a stand-up comedian.
Right. That's right.
And then you get a
it
belly.
Really felt like they were eating up. I thought they were just eating up screen time with who knows how to do an act? Does anybody know how to pilot a plane? No.
Yeah.
Belly dance or tell jokes. It's on should.
Yeah, you should definitely watch
it. If you like crap.
Yeah,
if you like crap, I'd say yes.
Yes.
It doesn't really connect. The beginning kind of sets up a movie that kind of doesn't show up exactly. Like your expectations are not met, but it's not because the filmmakers have done a switcheroo. It's because I think they forgot. But Hackoween. Wait, what? Shit.
This movie is Hack-O-Lantern. You're thinking of
Hack-O-Lantern, Hauntedween. It's really hard to keep them together.
Right.
And it's hard to say. Why would anybody say, what's the name of the movie? Hauntedween. What is that a play on?
Did you ever practice like the name of a movie when you went up to buy a ticket back in the day? Because you're like, am I going to get this out right?
Yes.
Did that ever happen to you?
I was embarrassed to, especially if it was something that was weird.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
I never went to see I never saw the Ipcrest file or the Parallax View, but I know they would have flummoxed the shit out of me, and I probably would have turned around and just said, "Cat from Outer Space, please."
Oh man.
Which I did see in the theater. I was too old for it, but I didn't care.
I saw that in they would play those films in Catholic school. They would give us all and make us go in the auditorium, and they played tons of Disney movies on 16 millimeter. So I saw, Shaggy Dog and all those. It was weird.
Did they play Homps, the Boatniks, or Homps, or Gus, the what was Gus kicking?
Oh, they might have
field goals, field goals.
Yeah, they might have.
American Foot, the Apple Dumpling Game.
Yeah,
I've never seen any of these movies, but the titles stuck in my head because the commercials were so heavy.
Yeah,
to get parents to see the Apple Dumpling Game and the Boatniks. Even as a kid, I go, hey, that's the guy from McHale's Navy. I am not seeing this shit. This is adults thinking they know what kids like. All those fucking movies. Kids love boats, right? And they love Joe Flaherty. No, that's I forget what his name is, but the guy who played the admiral or whatever, the boss on McHale's Navy. They love him, right? So there's the Boatniks. Shakiest gun in the West. How about that with Don Knotts? Oh my God. Oh my God. Adults who don't give a fuck about what they do for kids are the worst. They are. So, what else? Oh, I did see something interesting recently. But wait, what else have you seen on? Have you watched anything good? We're going to get a reputation amongst our millions of fans about we just watch garbage.
Well, it's easier to watch garbage, I think.
My back hurts so much I can't move around.
Hey, we got to. Have you seen Tucker and Dale versus Evil?
No, it's on my queue though. I've wanted to see it, but I've not been. I've not been in the mood for a comedy, but I've heard good things about it. It looks like it's up my alley.
I was shocked on how much I enjoyed it. I really think that it hits its mark. It has all the tropes, and it's fun. I like the lead actor. I like both lead actors in it. It's good. It's good. So I would definitely check that out.
So is it is it like a Shaun of the Dead type thing, or is it Return of the Living Dead type thing? I haven't seen Shaun of the Dead. I'm like that one person. But
no, well, Shaun of the Dead's great.
Is it Appalachian?
It's the idea behind it is, imagine you went into the woods and you saw a bunch of, people in the woods acting weird, and you hurt yourself because you were afraid of two people that weren't a threat and aren't after you, and you're living some kind of hyper horror movie in your head. That might be a good way of describing it without, giving too much away.
Are there actual horror elements in it, or is it?
Yes.
Or they just think there are.
No, there are.
I really can't. My uptight thing. I hate the. It was all a trick to get you to confess, McDonald.
Oh, so you don't like
for it? That's not. That's an actress playing your dead wife.
Yeah. Did you like April Fool's Day? Is that a movie that drives you crazy? The old slasher.
Yeah. You know what's a really weird example of that? Well, I didn't think April Fool's Day was good. It's like kind of just wasn't the whole thing about April Fool's Day was that we got a squeaky clean TV actress and there's blood everywhere and it's got lots of weird kill, like there's a bicycle kill or a weight kill. The weightlifting kill goes all over. I don't remember. We watched it at your house ages ago.
Yeah.
And we were all like, fuck fuck this. That thing seems infamous. It seems like everybody who mentions that just basically goes, fuck that. But the movie that's really weird, that has that angle in it, except it doesn't explain the entire movie at all. It goes beyond it, is a thing called Return to Horror High. Return to Horror High, which you might know as the movie that Maureen, Marcia from the Brady Bunch is a cop in it. And they're investigating this slaughter at a high school. And there's bodies everywhere. And George Clooney is for like 1 minute, so people think about it for that. But everybody in the thing is wiped out. And then there's a twist, but part of the movie still continues. It doesn't make sense. Yeah. And it has like a cheer with pom-poms on the skeleton, which is missing. But there's actually some really weird supernatural stuff in it. It's not very good, but it's game. They're making a film in this place supposedly, and everybody got killed on the set. It's got one of the weirdest like April Fool's Day kind of moments in there. But it's not to be taken seriously. It's kind of got the feeling that the Unnamable has. That the Unnamable that they made 2 films of, which I like both of them to certain degrees.
They've been restored.
It's a movie that's hard to hate unless you go.
Yeah, they've been restored. So that I want to rewatch them, or at least the first one is. I think that's on Tubi, The Unnamable. And I remember, that was back in the day when Fletcher and I were renting all the VHS H.P. Lovecraft movies we could find. And it was
we should do an episode on that. Lovecraft, because I mean I'm good on a lot of them. I've seen a lot of them, and I have opinions on them because it's really interesting when you watch a Lovecraft film. If you're a nerd, and hopefully not an angry nerd, people going into a Lovecraft film who are fans of weird fiction and of those stories go into it ready to report on it. If you know what I mean. Report on it, Marvel and DC, and they're like, I'm going in with these expectations. I want them met. This story I don't think this story, you know what I mean? You don't go in there just to enjoy a movie. You go in there with like a list of things to tick off that are bad. You got your bingo card for bad and your bingo card for good. And the bingo card for bad usually fills up real fucking fast. Oh, come on. It's not Scott hates The Unnamable. It's a fun movie. It's just not the story. I actually like it. It's kind of like, how to put it? I mean, I like the idea of just taking Lovecraft, turning him into this asshole Sherlock Holmes at college, and giving him a Watson who's a hapless ding dong, and then basically putting elements of The Unnamable in there. I found it not a good Lovecraft film, but a fun beer movie that doesn't take itself too seriously, but unfortunately doesn't have the chops of Stuart Gordon to make Reanimator or From Beyond. It's like a poor man's version, poor woman, poor every gender, non-gender, of those 2 movies. Yeah, I like it. I like the angle. They go, we can't make this, so let's just spin it. Right. And I thought it was a cute idea. The second one, has some attrition.
But I was going to say that one of the things is with the first one is it feels like a little low budget horror film that somehow pulls off Lovecraft enough, and like you said,
I think it's done with real. I think it's done with real desire to not insult the material, and not try to be better than the material or something. We know how to fix it. I mean, it's almost like listening to an amateur radio program, like the Atlanta radio theater, I think they're called. I really enjoy their Lovecraft adaptations, which are almost all available through certain sources, but you can buy them. I did not know that they're still around. And apparently they did a lot of recordings of HPL stories live at Dragon Con. And the 2 things are, one, they're doing this for free. They're doing this during a time when nobody was paying attention to radio. It was like the 90s. You can tell it's a labor of love. So yeah, there's going to be some cheap movie aspect. But they were also doing it live with live sound effects and everything. And I thought it was really cool. Hey, Paul, you disappeared.
I'm here. Don't worry about me.
Okay, but for me, The Unnamable is a fun trifle. It's not a serious movie. I can't see hating it, except that Scott is evil. Evil. He's trying to clutch Cthulhu and ward Scott off.
Well, what's the best Lovecraft movie then, Evan? What's the best Lovecraft movie?
Prince of Darkness.
Well, real Lovecraft.
I want
something.
Oh, real quick. Where the hell am I? Give me a second.
Okay.
What's yours?
Oh, geez. I don't know. It's hard to say because, I don't think there's any real.
Scott, if you're watching, look what you made me do, Scott. I've got Chaosium books. I've got game books again in my life. Game books. I hardly even play. Woo! I'm trying to find a copy of their zine. I have them at handy. I want to plug them. So, what's your favorite?
I don't think I really have a Lovecraft movie that I really think is that good. I'm certainly not thinking of it. Sure, when you go into elements like The Thing or Prince of Darkness or things that feel Lovecraftian, I know people love, Mouth of Madness, but shit like that.
Shit like that. I don't think there's been a really dead-on weird fiction movie that was taken from a source that was actually an adaptation. I think that we've talked about it to a degree. I think that they fail because they're usually done by people who really love Lovecraft. And they want to, even Stuart Gordon, he really veered off of it, but he really did want to. I mean, he didn't like put a robot in there, like some, you know what I mean? He didn't just take it and make something, he didn't make the Dunwich Horror, which I watched years ago, and I was just like, it was the one with Dean.
Stockwell.
Yeah, I mean, I just found it. When you watch something that's not good and it's Lovecraft and you're a fan, it's kind of like watching something and waiting for your name to be said out loud when you've donated to a radio show or something like that. You're just waiting there going, oh, they said Miskatonic. Wow, that's cool. Oh, they just said Professor Armitage. And I'm just like, this movie stinks. Like Die Monster Die. Did you ever watch that?
Oh yeah.
I think Nick Adams.
Yep.
Yeah. That's The Color Out of Space, right?
Yep. Yeah.
It's
hey,
it's
people
bad.
like
it's so bad. We forgot that we watched it and watched it again.
Well,
I hate The Resurrected. Scott, I'm gonna fight you.
The first time I saw it. The first time I saw it, I really liked it.
I want to rewatch it, but if I remember correctly, Sarah and I watched that years ago, and we were like, I didn't know the story when I watched it. I forget which one. It's based on the short novel.
Yeah.
I always say Gordon Pym when I'm trying to think of this goddamn story. It drives me nuts, and I like the story, but it's the salts, right? Is this the salts or no? Yeah, the essential salts, which we would have at our Lovecraft Diner. We'd have essential salts, right?
Actually, Brian and I are thinking that the Lovecraft Diner might just have to be the Lovecraft food truck, because that might be more manageable.
That sounds even better. But the Innsmouth Luke fish. Luke fish. No, I got to come up with something better than that. Oh, but we really have to get a designer to help us do the menu. I'm desperate to do the Lovecraft Diner. Oh,
right. It's thank you, Scott. Yeah, it's Charles Dexter Ward.
Thank you. God damn it, I never remember that.
Which is a terrific story, and would seem like it would be easy to adapt. You know what I mean?
I like that story. I think that I'm probably on. Well, real quick, Scott Dorwood, who's been checking in with us, is 1/3 of the good friends of Jackson Elias, who I have a lot to thank and blame for my current state of nerd being, because when we were doing Call of Cthulhu, I was developing Call of Cthulhu. Sarah and I were putting Call of Cthulhu together, and I was putting Blackwood together, and I just thought, I just want to hear people talk about supernatural movies or something. It doesn't need to be real. This is what I've told people who write. You know, even if you're couching it in reality, you're writing about monsters and stuff. Feel free to veer off, make shit up for your lycanthropy, or do something a little bit different. Don't worry about it being real. You don't have to make it be all folklore or all mythology. You could just throw some other crap in there. You don't have to take everything. I love Hellboy, but almost everything he takes is an old folklore story. He twists it a little, but it feels like I know this story. Just, add stuff, throw stuff around. If people talk about something you don't believe in at all, like, that's bullshit. But it doesn't have it's the supernatural. It's all bullshit, There are no souls. We're all doomed. So just have a good time. So I do not know. It drives me nuts. I don't know how I fell on the Good Friends of Jackson Elias, the Blasphemous Tomes, which my family calls Blasphemous Toes, because I accidentally said Blasphemous Toes. So that is forever what it's called, Blasphemous Toes. Drives me nuts. And I do art for their zine that they put out twice a year. There's an e-zine and there's a print version. If you back them I love listening to their podcast because they're three really cool guys who try to get to the bottom of gaming, reality, horror movies, social aspects without pounding it into your head. I mean, it just all gets, because they're smart and they're funny, so it all gets driven into one podcast. And I found that gaming podcasts are fantastic for writers. Listening to gaming, I've said this before, and hearing gamers talk about story more than screenwriters do. I swear to God. And gamers, when Scott writes Chaos, Paul Fricker and Matt Sorensen. I hope I got that right. They've written and edited for Chaosium, doing the Cthulhu books and whatnot, and have worked on the 7th edition. And I swear to you, after listening to their podcasts that I've listened to through them, nobody pays attention to structure. I feel like I'm more than game designers, more than scenario writers, because they play test it. And I've been part of a couple of playtests, and they figure out, like I always tell people, show your work to people who don't really know you or love you. If they're confused on page 3 on the page turn, if Dr. Doom isn't shown but they're talking about him and they don't know what's going on, you made a mistake in a strict narrative. And when you're playtesting, you'll find out your players don't know that they could go left. There's no indication at all, or they can't put 2 and 2 together, and they need to keep things going. And yes, a good GM can just freestyle over that, but they're like so particular about the scenarios, about how A doesn't have to lead to B, C, D, E, and F. But at some point you want to get to Z or another version of Z, like an alternate universe Z. You want people. It's some things are I think they call it, like, some things are like a sandbox, and some are open, just like in all kinds of gaming. And you don't want to lead people by the nose, but at the same time, you need to give people the clues and the information and stuff so that they can investigate. And that's the thing between Call of Cthulhu being an investigation-based game and the writers all being generally intelligent and interesting and speculative. You get these wild ideas that would make great movies when you hear about them or you listen to play. And on top of that, they're like pinballs. They have to work. If they don't, the fans and the players go, what the fuck is going on this leg of it doesn't make sense. Everybody gets stuck there. And you revise and revise. And if you want to write, if anybody's listened to things like the Blasphemous Tomes, the Good Friends, Jackson Elias, and listen to some gaming. Because again, as a writer, one of the things that I like is that when the players add to the game, it's a wild card. If you've ever played D&D, if you've ever run a game, I did when I was younger, a player just decides to be a dick, or doesn't, or just like, I throw the thief into the room to get the trap. You have to come up with new stuff. So the players are writers as well. So you get a lot of non-tropey things sometimes, or not planned things, and they spark ideas for writing much more than, as much as reading books and stuff, more than movies. There's so much interplay and interesting stuff going on there. And I'm not talking about stealing people's lines or stealing their plot points, but anyway, that's my plug for that. But I mean, right. I find it more interesting than screenwriting books in a lot of ways.
Well, we all know.
Get down to the nitty.
We all know what I think about role playing, so I won't get into it.
I know what we're wearing. We're practically 1/3 furries right now, and we have furry brains. I look like an Ewok. I'm the one that died. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I love.
You read it?
I read it all. I think.
We've watched a few of the movies. Well, there's a lot of new stuff out. They've kind of started bombarding. I have a pretty good Ito library. I don't have the newer stuff, the one that he adapted, that he did the art adaptation of a novel. I don't have the last two. I don't have the cat book he did, which is not horror, but still seems horrible because he draws everything so insane and melodramatic that the cats look like demons. It's really funny. You keep expecting, you're reading it, and it's a story about him going behind a wall to get his cat, and you're waiting for the cat to go, this is my hole. This is, that story knocked us the hell out. We caught that one because it's in I forget where they first printed it, but I've had 3 editions of Uzumaki, 3 editions of Tomy, because I keep trading up. I had the Comics 1 edition of Tomy. Sarah and I got that years ago. And then there's Dark Horse, I think, did Tomy in the Museum of Terror. I love Junji Ito. I mean, I saw somebody complaining they love Junji Ito, but they wish they'd bring over more stuff. I think it might have been Zach Davison who did the real quick. Let me grab this. Paul, you talk a little bit about something.
Yes, I like Ito a lot. I think Evan introduced me, and the Tomy stuff just knocks me out because it's so different and odd. The movies, adaptation movies, never really worked for me. I haven't seen any that were any good, but that might just be me. But yeah, I think it's terrific stuff.
I remember I've seen Tomy, and we watched Kakashi at your house, and it was terrible.
That was awful. That was the one that got Paul Girardi. That's the one where Paul Girardi says that all Japanese horror films stink because of that.
Well, and all of Japan voted that Paul Girardi stinks. Somehow they know about Paul Girardi. He tried to get there when it stinks. Ito, I don't love everything by Ito, but I want everything by him. The way that a lesser Junji Ito is still going to have something so crazy in the brain. It's kind of like watching Italian movies by Fulci, except that they're good. I love the way he draws. I saw an original drawing of his at a convention. They had done a anniversary. All these manga artists did drawings for this magazine's anniversary, and they put them up on a wall at New York Comic Con. And the Ito was beautiful. It was a color portrait of a woman. And you're waiting. I'm looking at it, and Sarah and I are like, when does when does one eyeball turn around? And but I like Japanese manga, horror manga, a lot. I like Ito. I like Umetsu, even though his stuff makes no freaking sense. There are some movies based on Umetsu. He's the guy who did Cat-Eyed Boy and Drifting Classroom, which I just got the first volume of a few months ago. It was first comic I got in ages. And then there's Kitaro, which is good, but it's light. It's more lighthearted and nuts, yokai stuff. Parasite is a good horror manga. I haven't read I Am a Hero. I've wanted to. And who's the other guy that I like? I can't remember. I wish that Ito's stuff ran in girls' magazines. It's a shoujo, technically, I believe. I'd have to double check that, but I saw something, and that's fascinating to me, and possibly why the protagonists are almost always these really pretty girls. And there's a lot of themes about looks and whatnot, but who knows? I'm reaching there. There's about 7 books out, but
I actually didn't know that was going on. So
that was definitely happening. The Uzumaki adaptation. I do believe I saw something in passing that there was something he was supposed to do for that company that just folded, Quabi, the billionaire thing that just folded up.
Yeah,
that was supposed to be. They were supposed to be doing something, and But actually no, because I don't know what it is. I prefer comics over animation in a lot of ways because you get the personality of the one person who worked on it. I find, God damn this thing! I swear to God, it's like a grandma in the rain here with this thing. The play, hold my bags. If it's good, I'll check it out. But I don't check out. Christ, I haven't been checking out things that I really want to see. I hope it's good, but to be honest, I just always find animation is so cheap now. I mean, it looks good, but it moves so weird, and so many people are involved that there's, you spread the talent out. I don't know. I mean, Uzumaki's also, it's like, can that be a satisfying watch? It's really based on the artwork. If you're not going to have that intricate artwork and that timing and that pacing and the page turns, it's a very specific thing. And the way it ends is kind of anticlimactic for a series, for TV series. So I don't know. I feel like they would come up with something else if it went that far. But certain episodes, headless jumping box corpse or whatever the hell, and washing machine. They did the washing machine. Uzumaki, the live action Uzumaki is pretty bad. The whole thing from you remember we watched that at your house? They took all the interesting visuals, boiled it into like a 10-second, a 20-second montage, and then used that in the ads. So it looked like you were getting the girl with the hair, then you were getting the snails, and that was just thrown away as like news reports or something.
Well, wasn't that because the comic wasn't actually finished at the time that they were making that film? I don't think they had an ending.
But those segments were done. Those were all chapters, and they just like touched on all these chapters, and then opened the whole thing up to people filming giant snail humans on the buildings and girls with giant hair, the hair that comes out into spirals. It kind of didn't work. These, I recommend these. I don't know if I was gonna write Scott about these because they mentioned them in passing when they did a big At the Mountains of Madness. Not At the Mountains of crap. Yeah, at the Mountains of Madness. God damn it, how the camera. The adaptations are fantastic. This is probably the best adaptation I've seen of a Lovecraft story in my life. Okay. And I realize that's a lot, but it's the art is the thing that this Tanabe, Go Tanabe does is that he paces it out very slowly. He doesn't just get to like high points. And the thing is, he does these beautiful vistas. The detail is not coming through. But when you turn the page and see these, you go, yeah, that's fucked up. And that's just mountains. He gives the whole, he doesn't add a lot to it, but there is a mournful, when he does show things that are really like people don't think about when they think about this. Look at that. That's, men on the ice. It's a boring thing to draw, but he takes the time. He really sets up the scene. No versions of that done as a film are going to get into the expedition itself. And it's not boring, especially if you know where they're going. And it's thick. It's not just, and it's not pages. If you look at it, it's not like kids manga where 2 panels per page, 3, 4. I mean, it's rich in detail. He transfers a lot of things into visuals, and it's the story, and it's not exploitative as far as, here's a gore fest, but I don't know if you can see this. These spreads he does that just really show the awe, and it's in static images, but you open them up and you just drink in these insane. I don't think you can, but you can see what the intent is. I love these. I just thought, Zach worked on these. I thought these were terrific. I mean, they're a little stiff in the dialogue. That happens a lot, but they're amazing. He also did The Hound and a few other stories, and supposedly Dark Horse is bringing out more of those. That's a Dark Horse adaptation. It's just got, you feel like you're in the journey because they really drag you along with space. It's slow burn, but the story in a lot of ways is a slow burn. It's investigation and 2 schmucks looking at cartoons in a basement, and enjoy. But so my speaking of Lovecraft, I think my favorite Lovecraft favorite Lovecraft inspired would be Prince of Darkness, probably, and The Thing. Interesting that they're both from Carpenter. And there are more adaptations out there that I haven't seen, but I don't know. I mean, Reanimated is the most entertaining of the ones that are direct from a story. I didn't like Dagon, though. I thought Dagon almost had the same problem that we were talking about in The Wailing, except that it's all schmucky, and it's got lots of plot holes. And I think that he handled. I love Shadow over Innsmouth. I find it really interesting that it's Lovecraft's only action story. I don't count Dunwich when at the end people are looking through binoculars at some old men throwing powder on shit, and listening to the telephone while houses get knocked down. It's like he had a budget, you know. He did a radio play and got rid of all the effects. But Dagon just has this. His tonal thing. He keeps the tonal differences in From Beyond and Reanimator. He really walks that line well, where it can go from slapstick comedy of zombies knocking you down, because he gets horror in every scene. And comedy, it just milled in right from the personality of the characters, having Herbert West be kind of a terse bastard, which he kind of is, but he doesn't say get a job at a freak show to the guy when he has no head. It's just very funny. But I'm trying to think of the other. There's a Lurking Fear adaptation I saw that actually Jeffrey Combs is in. It's serviceable, you know, Empire
pictures.
It's just junk, but it's passable. But I can't think of an actual, here's a Lovecraft story and we're doing it straight. We're taking the story, we're adapting the story. I mean, they mostly stink, don't they? I haven't seen the movie that's just called Cthulhu. I don't even know if it's actually about Cthulhu. It looks weird.
Well, it seems like
cult,
you know those there's the Lovecraft Society or something. I don't remember offhand, but they make shorter movies. They've adapted Call of Cthulhu and you know.
Yeah, the Lovecraft something society. I like things they do. I wish I could afford them.
Yeah.
I wish I could see what they are, but yeah, that short film was good.
Yeah, I mean,
one.
Yeah, I mean, I enjoy a couple of their things, but I also feel like, I don't know, you know, it has to be able to, you have to be able to do it, but how you do it, I don't think anybody's really done it great. You know, I mean, there's just.
I think there are other movies that hit those tones of weird fiction, of reality not being what it is, of being left adrift almost from the real world and discovering this craziness that you have to do sanity rolls in games. And I think one of the reasons they fail is because, you know, think about the Unnamable. I mean, they actually made a movie about two guys talking about can you depict horror, can you name horror, and then they make a suit of this thing, which kind of, you know, like a Star Trek alien in some scenes. And it's, how do you know, the color out of space, it's a color we never saw before, except it's pink and purple in that fucking movie.
Yeah.
You know,
yeah.
Why even have characters say it's a color I've never seen before when your eyes are telling you, sorry, it's pink and purple. Don't even try it. I mean, most of his stuff is implied. You know, there's almost no point except that you have a hard on for doing it because you're such a fan and you think you can be the one to finally crack, you know, get the move on it, and you want to make money off of it. But when Guillermo del Toro, who I've not seen enough films of to make I mean, he seems really cool. He's an uber nerd. He gets it, you know. But I've not seen his films. The ones that he's famous for, and I'm glad he didn't make At the Mouths of Madness, because I think it's wrongheaded to throw hundreds of millions of dollars at this pet project that is fundamentally flawed, because the studio is just going to want, you know, monsters. or the crew members go mad and start killing each other, and they're gonna. I mean, he could get away with it because he won the Oscar. I'm surprised that somebody hasn't gone to him, but right now everything is so in limbo. But I mean, he kind of is like a lower tier Peter Jackson. They just won't throw a ton of money at him to go crazy, and he's more responsible than Peter Jackson, I feel. But I think At the Mouths of Madness is a bad idea. It's almost making At the Mouths. There's a story, maybe, or a game scenario that the people trying to make At the Mountains of Madness are on their own insane trek to discover something that they shouldn't have discovered. It would be an interesting that the drive and the need to know, the need to make the film turns into something similar, that need to know what happened to the expedition and blah blah blah. But I don't know. I'm a goof.
I'm wondering.
Look what I'm doing. You and I are wearing bear ears, so I'm not going to tell anybody what they should do.
I was wondering, did anybody ever try to adapt The Shadow Out of Time? Because that seems like the absolute most impossible Lovecraft to maybe.
You think so? Yeah.
Yeah. I just. How the hell do you do that?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Well, yeah. I mean, make a really weird Russian animation.
Yeah.
I always get them confused. No matter how many times I read this stuff and I listen to podcasts, I get the great old ones, the old ones, the great ones, The Rock, Tom Morocco. I get them all confused. I mean, I can keep some of the monsters apart, but when you start getting to the Yithians, I think the Yithians are the ones that are in that one, right? They're the ones who are displacing people's consciousness with their own. They time travel through the mind.
Yeah, that's why you need those Patterson guides. That's what you need. Is it Patterson? Those supplementary game things that people used to have, like the survival guide of something. I have to look what I'm.
I don't remember that. Yeah, I think that's where you swap brains with them. He really likes brains. Him and Clifford D. Simak, they're so into brains. Brain in a can, brain in a body, consciousness switch with your wife, who's actually your father-in-law. Woof. And this one, yeah, you go into the future and you get to hang out in their library with other Yithians. And I think that you can learn about their stuff and they learn about you. And then the Yithians are doing reference work.
Yeah.
So like they become like, a foot doctor in Bangkok.
Yeah.
And they go, wow, this is cool. And they go back and add to the library. I don't remember. That story is not one of my favorites. It's more science fiction, which is fine, but it just feels like information rather than an actual narrative, which happens, I know, in a lot of his. I mean, Mountains of Madness in a lot of ways is a travel log. Oh, look at that! Look at that! What does the sign say? Oh, yeah. Turn around. They're dead. Keep going. Stand on line. You know what I mean? But the stuff that they're doing is kind of fascinating. The Yithians seem to be like him looking out a universe, and it's not. I forget. I think they go to Australia. Like there's a big chunk of information, and then kind of like Call of Cthulhu, it restarts at another time. I think the guy who is trying to figure out why he was forgetting everything goes to Australia and finds things. I always like that about some of the Cthulhu stories, the stories. The idea that there are people all over the world having dreams or finding information in strange places, written or sculpted or left behind or in minds. I've always loved that, and I always love when it brings people together. That's a great aspect of the game, I think, because Lovecraft isn't interested in characters, really, and his idea of a mystery is really exactly Rex Stout,
Yeah.
And then you get the racism, but whatever. But I love people discovering stuff and coming together. It's like M.R. James does it in Casting the Ruins. I love, the academic and his wife end up meeting somebody who had the same thing happen to their brother, and I like that coming together of wait a minute, you know, I'm a sucker for the scene where everybody starts to share the information and realize this is a bigger picture. And I love that about Call of Cthulhu, that you're following the police officer, you're following whoever the hell the first guy is who goes around making fun of people's artwork and sculptures, and then you read about the guy who was on the ship and his diary. I kind of feel like it's surprising that nobody has made Call of Cthulhu because it has so many big beats and it builds.
It doesn't have a good ending. I don't think it has a good enough ending.
No, it doesn't have a good ending. The fact is, Hollywood doesn't give a shit. They'll make it a good ending, or their idea of a good ending. The Hellboy movie doesn't have a good ending, you know? And you ended up with another movie and then a reboot. I mean, the first Hellboy movie is not good. It's likable. Right. Remember, when we saw it together, we wanted it to be better because the characters were likable, but I thought the choices were terrible. And the few movies that I've seen of Del Toro, if you open things up for him, like Kronos, we at your house, and it's small and it's tight and it's compact.
Yeah, I saw that in the theaters originally.
Mimic is not. Did you? Wow. Yeah. No, I didn't know that. Mimic is not really his film, but it does have some of his points to it. And Hellboy, and I think I saw one other. Hellboy is a mess, structurally a mess. It's trying to get everything in that he loves about the comic, but then somehow there's a 25-minute section in the middle where you're dealing more with these FBI type agents, the BPRD guys in suits, walking around trying to find those dog monsters. Cut that whole fucking scene down. And then Abe Sapien leaves, so the movie's missing a major emotional point. The professor is killed because he loves that scene, but how do we care about the professor if we haven't spent time with him? We're just told that we have to, you know, this is a big moment. The villain in the comic, we keep going back to seeing the relationship. You've got time in a comic because you don't have a budget and you have years. So the professor becomes, you know what I mean, more of a thing. In the first comic, when the professor dies, you're like, well, that sucks. No more than an informant that gets killed in the first 5 minutes of a movie, you know? He's the guy who shows up on the doorstep with the bag that has the knife in it. And he goes, keep this safe. It doesn't matter. And the worst thing about Hellboy, between the fact that, well, not the word, the villain doesn't mean anything. I can't remember the villain doing anything except killing the professor.
Well, I felt
he is not a presence in the movie.
I felt that character that they added to just be exposition was really that took me out of the movie terribly. I just felt
the partner, the cop partner, the kid,
the new agent guy. Yeah, I just felt like
unnecessary. His character was completely unnecessary because we never put ourselves in his position. We're not learning much. We're watching them chase monsters and talk to other people. We don't really learn much through that character. He's not our Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. He's not. A movie that does that well is when Will Smith. I don't love everything about Men in Black, but they do. That script does a good job saying, "Let's learn about this world. We're going to drag you along with Will Smith as we flash things in your eyes and show you creatures and teach you how we do things." I mean, this movie, yeah, he does not feel like an acolyte who's standing in for the viewer because there's too many characters and too many beats. So by the time that Del Toro is done throwing in every character, I mean, why even put Abe Sapien in the movie except that you love him? What does he accomplish? Cut out every scene with Abe Sapien. The underwater stuff seems to take forever. This is like a James Bond movie, except Goldfinger only shows up for a few minutes. There is no odd job. And M keeps threatening to fire James Bond and doing bad comedy. And the Jeffrey Tambor character needs to be fucking yeeted also. They need to get rid of the kid, get rid of Jeffrey Tambor, get rid of the dogs, you know? I mean, all the monsters fucking in Hellboy, you could go design your own, you know, that doesn't look like anything, that looks like the dogs that were in Ghostbusters. They don't look like anything. Why are we spending time with these guys in suits all like on mic, like it's, you know, all the President's Men or some bullshit? And give the villain some agency and some substance, and don't introduce a member of the team in the last like 30 minutes of the movie. That's supposed to be his love interest, and I love that they go, well, we didn't have her in the movie because her powers are all out of control. So you're gonna put her on a fucking helicopter, buddy? It's like, well, we think Keith Richards will show up. Well, let him drive the car. Why don't you if you think Keith's that fucked up and on the drugs, let him drive the car while you're at it. It makes no sense. Why do they need her powers? What did that end fight accomplish? I still don't remember. The only scene that I love in Hellboy, besides some of the banter is cool, and Perlman's cool, is when you see the very Cthulhian scene of the tentacles coming out of the clouds. It's a really pretty scene, and they don't oversell it. But it's one of those scenes where here's what might happen, which is story-wise boring as hell. I don't want to see what might happen. That's like the scene in Battle Galactica 80 when they show on the
hey, don't you say
trailer
bad about Galactica 1980?
I just
you son of a bitch. I'll come over there.
And if you remember, in the trailers for Galactica 80, they showed scenes of the Cylons destroying LA, which was funny because they just matted in Cylons over scenes from the movie Earthquake, which was kind of brilliant. Somebody at Universal was brilliant. We've got all this footage of collapsing buildings, collapsing new buildings. So they just put Cylons over it. But when you watch the actual first episode, the guy whoever the fuck is the Galactica commander goes, we made this little video here to show you what would happen if the Cylons attacked Earth. And then they show that fucking footage, and it never happens. It never is. It's like, this is who's editing together Earthquake and Battlestar Galactica to show people. Hold on, Staten Island's happening again.
You just got to let it go, Evan.
I wish.
Let it go. So, Evan, have you?
I did not see Pan.
I saw Pan's Labyrinth.
Yeah. I haven't seen The Devil's Backbone, and I have no interest in The Shape of Water.
Yeah, Pan's Labyrinth. Unfortunately, everybody I know loves it. I didn't love it mainly because
I've got hands with eyes. I saw a yokai book.
Yeah, I feel like it's a blender with all the ingredients put in and mixed around, and it just Del Toro just does not work for me. In 99% of his movies, I always feel there's something cold and lacking in them, and I've never been able to really get into anything he did, except for Kronos. I thought Kronos was terrific.
Kronos is a tight film. I haven't seen. I do want to see these films only because, if nothing else, they look pretty. He's got a nice eye. He's got a good visual eye. But I mean, most of his movies have scenes that almost look like a camera going through his collection. I mean, his collection's famous. He's always, you know what I mean? It's like, look, there's shit everywhere. He doesn't know how to winnow stuff down. And the more money he's given, the more stuff he throws in. I didn't even bother to go see the second Hellboy movie because he literally added a movie to a movie. he elf movie and a fairy movie, and I find those elements fine. But then it just looks like Hellboy is starring in the concoction of Del Toro's. He just doesn't. He's almost like a less irritating Tim Burton, because Tim Burton's movies are just scenes. And I think that Del Toro doesn't do scenes, but he does sections. You know, here's the set. Here's World War II. All right, we move on to this, where we introduce everyone. Now we've got this elongated scene with these dogs, the subway, and he rescues cats. Those segments all seem like separate television episodes. Burton, every scene feels like it could be anywhere in the movie almost. You know, well, let's have some dancing, and let's have those things I like to draw, and then we'll have this thing I like to draw, and then we'll have somebody with messy hair. You know, we'll have the fucking Tim Burton character who's always like the only person who's smart in the entire movie, but still can't fucking comb their hair. Burton's a designer. Guillermo del Toro, to me, is a great designer, and he's got a good eye for visuals and for story beats. He doesn't seem to sequence a film together, though. I mean, winning an Oscar seems to be the worst thing that can happen for a horror movie, in my opinion. But, you know, The Shape of Water looks like crap. It just looks like I want to fuck the creature from the Black Lagoon.
Right.
You know, it's like, this is what I'll make. I couldn't get the rights to the creature from the Black Lagoon, so here's my gothic story, and I'm like, whatever. I'm not interested. I know that sounds terrible.
I would recommend that if you want to see a great Ron Perlman fantasy film, watch The City of Lost Children, which I absolutely
love the city.
and could not recommend more. It is an amazing movie
that
I feel no one talks about. This director, he directed Delicatessen.
Isn't there two directors? Or there were two directors?
Yes, there were in the beginning, and then it turned out to be one. It's the actor who's a mime. He does a lot of stuff with him, and
yeah, sorry.
No. What were you gonna say?
No, keep going.
No, it's just guys. Like, the thing about this movie that it just works for me on all the levels. It's just the fantasy landscape is amazing. The costumes are amazing. Everything about that movie works for me. I think that you have directors that just do. Del Toro, people love him. I understand it tickles something in them, but he doesn't do it for me. Oh, and Amelie, yes, Stevie is writing on the thing that Amelie is so good. A Very Long Engagement is so good. These movies are excellent. Yeah. Absolutely excellent.
I know people hate, there's a lot of backlash against Amelie, for its kind of tweeness and whatnot, but I'm like, I don't give a fuck. It works. The thing I like about their movies is that once you understand that this is not a movie, this is not a machine so much as almost like an organic thing, that they will remember what happened at the beginning and get back to it. Sometimes quite literally, like the weird opening scene of City of Lost Children. But they have sequences. Here's the thing: if you're going to make a movie that's a lot of set pieces, a lot of sequences, in my opinion, and they do keep a through line. Delicatessen is not what I thought it was going to be at all. City of Lost Children was not what I thought it was going to be at all. And they're like modern fantasies. They're other worlds that work, but they're not telling you details. They're showing you the way the worlds look. They're not going, this is the way the insect does that. You have to watch it for that shit. They're letting the drawings do half the work. They're letting the visuals do half the work. I mean, City of Lost Children is amazing because your two lead characters don't know much. One doesn't, they don't express much. The kid doesn't know anything, and Ron Perlman's character doesn't talk much. The strong man. So you have to pay attention to the movie, and if you don't, the thing is, there are sequences in Delicatessen, in Amelie, especially in City of Lost Children, where I'm going wow all the time. And there's a lot of movies that people love where they go wow all the time, and I just go, it looks pretty, or yeah, that's sexy, or that was violent. But there are scenes in this that are not. They're not exploitation scenes, but they get an effect into me. There's just scenes where you go, this is like a nightmare, this is like a dream. That's what I want from genre films. I want to feel like a nightmare or a dream, or both. And City of Lost Children is just one of my favorite films. It's a ride, and it's beautifully designed, and it's beautifully shot, but it doesn't feel like all you're getting is your chain pulled. Like, to me, a Tim Burton movie, where the jokes don't land. There's scenes, he does that thing that I think John Landis does, where he goes, I want to have them singing Deo and their ghosts and walking around the table. Why on earth do they do? Where is the logic in that? Yes, it's an illogical movie, but that movie is just like, it doesn't know what to do next. I mean, Pee-wee's Adventure that Burton did is like that, but you're on the ride because of the movie, so you're going from point A to B to C, D, and you've got the personality of Pee-wee Herman, which sells that movie. That movie's not very good in a lot of places, as much as I like it. But I think Burton's got a problem with all those films, that you can sit down in a Burton film in the middle and understand the whole movie, because there's nothing to stand. The same shit's going on, if you think about it, in Beetlejuice. He doesn't care who the lead character is. We've got two lead characters, then Beetlejuice is supposed to be a lead character. No, we got more shit to do. Then it's Winona Ryder. Then it's back to Beetlejuice. And he doesn't give a shit about the two people haunting her. They fall out of the movie. Baldwin and all his movies are like that. And the worst example is Mars Attacks, which is just a shit show. To me, that's 1941.
Oh, we were. Remember us in the theater when we were watching Mars Attacks? Remember how much we hated it? I mean, we were like sitting in the same row. There was a group of people, and it was mind-numbing that the man who made Ed Wood would make this piece of shit,
Ed Wood's his best film, in my opinion. He didn't write it, and he didn't have as many opportunities to go off the beam. Look, I bought all the toys. I loved the Martians, the designs of the designs. They didn't really change them. But, again, think about the scene. I like parts of the scene with, I don't know who the actor was, but it's an actor that I absolutely despise, who was like the president. Why are there 50 characters in that fucking thing when there's no story? The scene where Tim Burton's ex-girlfriend is being pulled, she's doing this and she's all sexy. And he always has to put his girlfriends in his movies, like to show people, look at my girlfriend, look at my girlfriend. Nobody talked to me in school, look at my girlfriend. I'm not going to comb my hair. I'm like Robert Smith, look at my girlfriend. I got a new girlfriend, look at my new girlfriend. But that scene is like 80% look at this chick. And it seems to go on for 15 minutes. That scene's probably 5 minutes long, but okay, she floats and she's got a large bust. And the hair is cool. But what the fuck is the point of this? Why are you adding more shit to this movie that's not funny? Oh, I hated that movie with a passion. I was so excited for it, too, I got to admit. I went to Tim Burton films all over and over going, this time, come on, get the visuals into a story. I hate here's the thing, where we're going to lose the last 5 people here. I hate The Nightmare Before Christmas. Whoa. I love all the designs. I think it's a terrible movie. The music's terrible, the pacing's terrible, the plot's terrible, the character of Jack Skellington is an abusive boyfriend who keeps going back to, because he's Tim Burton and she's his girlfriend. The villain is literally introduced, I think, in the last couple of scenes. I don't know what goes on in that movie, because that's a movie that people watch 1,000 times and they know everything about it, but it's a great movie for merchandise. It's beautiful designs. I've got the only thing I've got left was this guy. I got this guy. He doesn't even have dialogue in the movie, and he looks great. Okay. Somebody took all of Tim Burton stuff. This Pez dispenser is more fun than that entire movie. It's beautifully animated.
I actually really, really, really enjoyed the movie the first time I've seen it. And the weird thing is, every time I've tried to rewatch it, I can't watch more than 5 minutes of it. So it's the,
you know what it is? Really that movie is Mad Monster Party. That's Generation X or whatever. Mad Monster Party.
And that's unwatchable.
And I like Mad Monster Party, but I find it almost unwatchable now. It's a plotting mess with just the designs are the best thing in Mad Monster Party. The songs are horrible. I've seen Oingo Boingo twice in concert. I watched. I used to get all their albums. And learn about the society, whatever they did in San Francisco, whatever. Yes, I love Oingo Boingo. I mean, I watched. Why am I blanking on the name of the movie that I love? What's the movie that Danny Elfman's brother made with Hervé Villechaize and
Forbidden
Susan
Zone.
Sarandon? Forbidden Zone. I've only seen it like 14 times. I love that movie, and the reason that I first watched it was probably because of Oingo Boingo. And I think Danny Elfman's done a lot of great soundtracks. And I can't remember one song from that fucking movie. I just don't remember a damn song in that movie. And it's one of the movies where some of I forget whether it's diegetic. There's words for this, and I don't give a fuck. I'm not a professor. I'm a professor of movie music. Some of the plot and some of the character is brought out in what the characters are singing, but the songs are so boisterous, and you're watching it's a movie. It's eye candy. The whole movie is eye candy. There is no brain candy in that movie at all. It's for romance who think Sally and Jack should be together, and they're wrong because Jack is a piece of shit. If I remember correctly, he does not change at the end of that movie. He's just a better piece of shit. But it's just toys. It's just toys moving everywhere.
That was his art.
It's design. They took his shit. He has a nice design sense, but I think he draws like shit. And an army of artists turned it into a beautiful looking nothing movie. I also think Henry Selick, who animated, I think he's the terrific animators who make James and the Giant Peach is a terrible movie. I mean, I don't know who reads the scripts that they do. Just because you're going to have cool shit on the screen. Okay, it's always what's the monster? What's the monster? What's the superpower? What powers does he have? it's very rarely what do the characters want, what's going on, what's the world like, what are you trying to say, where are the jokes, where are the actual story elements, why are characters doing this other than just to sing, because we should have a singing part here. I mean, yeah. And do you ever see Planet of the Apes that Tim Burton made?
I saw it in the theater.
That's a flaming shit show.
It angers me.
Movie.
It angers me because I'm at my age, I am still young enough to be obsessed with Star Wars, which I'm not anymore. But Planet of the Apes movies affect me deeply. I love them, absolutely love them. And Tim Burton's, ugh.
It's a terrible movie. It's a terrible movie on every fucking single point. It has nothing going for it. I mean, people don't even remember it exists. Tim Burton seems to be the person. Is there anybody else in modern times who is allowed to make as many bad movies? I mean, just structurally stupid bad movies and gets away with it because, it's the porn. All movies have the porn scenes, the money shots. Here's all the spaceships. Here, that's why I like Ed Wood. Beetlejuice, I like, despite it being a bad movie. I think Beetlejuice is a really bad movie.
Big Fish.
And I have fond memories. I have fond memories of Beetlejuice because I went on a date with somebody I liked very much, but she lived in Jersey, so it was hard. And we had a great time, and I was all excited and happy. And then I went home and I went, wow, that movie wasn't very good. That movie just goes through doors and out the windows and comes back to this and that. But
I saw that movie with Frank, and we almost got into a fist fight with other people. So, but yeah, Big Fish is also very good. I think Big Fish
with Tim Burton.
Yes, I'll bring it up.
That's not good. Don't get into a fight with you. Hey, I thought that Sleepy Hollow was a fine, okay, dull movie. It was what it was, but that's one of his few films where it feels like things happen in a sequence because they're supposed to, because the investigation means that you have to actually go look at things and say things. And it looked very pretty, but the big reveal was not very, well, who's in Big Fish? Isn't Adam Sandler in it?
No, it's Ewan McGregor and Albert Finney, Jessica Lange, Robert Guillaume.
Oh. Yeah. What am I thinking?
I'm not sure.
I'm thinking of, there's a movie where I think Adam Sandler is telling fairy stories to a kid or something. That's what I'm confusing with. Yeah, I mean, I haven't seen anything by, the last movie I think I saw of his was Planet of the Apes on cable. And I was just like, fuck this. I liked Sweeney Todd. They seem to like Sweeney Todd, but
Sweeney Todd's not bad.
I hate Johnny Depp. I can't watch Johnny Depp in things. I despise his acting, and I don't like him. And I don't think he's good in Pirates of the Caribbean. I mean, I don't like him. He just scenery hog and just off doing his own shit. And I'm like, oof. No, I didn't like Edward Scissorhands either. That's a cute looking movie. Has no oomph to it.
It left me, it's cold.
Big pink, green. It's cold, but like also the design of the whole movie is like, there's a castle where everything looks like goth S&M gear, right? And then everything outside of that castle is mid-century, postcard, bright colors. What the fuck world? He doesn't have consistency in his world because he just goes, this is what I want for this, and that's what I want for that, and I wanted this, and I wanted that, and he just throws elements together like Landis, except on a bigger scale. We'll have sand snakes. We'll have hell, have an office. We'll have Beetlejuice, and we'll have this, and we'll have. No, seriously, and he stops the movies for set pieces that don't make any fucking sense, narratively, And here's Beetlejuice. You will not see Beetlejuice for another half hour, kids, after that commercial.
Yeah.
People, but is anybody still watching?
Yes.
Who hates? Put up your directors that you just cannot understand why people love them. And
right.
none of these Snyders and all those. I think we're all intelligent human beings here. I hope, or depressed. I don't think I've ever seen a Zack Snyder film. I don't think I've ever seen a. I did see The Rock, by that guy who just blows shit up every movie. But it's weird to have. It's interesting. I don't have any directors I follow anymore. I used to follow directors as a younger nerd. I'd go see every Steven Spielberg movie. I'd go see every John Carpenter movie. I'd go to see every Joe. Why am I blanking on his name? The Howling.
Joe Dante.
Joe Dante film. I did see Landis films for a while because I liked Animal House, and he always had people in his movies that I liked at the time. So I went to see Trading Places and sat there and went, gorilla suit, fucking guy, gorilla suit, you know. And another director who puts Jamie Lee Curtis through the misogynist wheel, him, James Cameron. Ugh. James Cameron, I can't go see anything by any. I'm done. Ugh. He can walk into the sea.
Well, yeah,
I just don't want to.
But I
don't think he's that great.
Those are directors that aren't necessarily put up on pedestals as being perfect. I mean, you know, I mean, I don't like Kubrick films. You know, Kubrick is a director that just doesn't work for me. Also, he leaves me very cold.
Cameron. I think Cameron is a. I think the thing about Cameron is he doesn't stay in the public eye that much, and the critics don't love him. But I think in the public, he is seen as one of the grand old men. I mean, he's two of the biggest attended films ever made that I will never see in my life. They look ridiculous, and the Terminator series, and you know, I mean, I actually like the first 3 quarters of The Abyss. I mean, I'm not saying he can't put stuff together, but did you ever rewatch Terminator 2? It really dies once they go to the desert. It dies. The rest of the movie is just not good. Shooting people in the knees and introducing the guy from Brother from Another Planet and making him the hero more.
Yeah, I wouldn't agree with that. I do believe that the 2 slumps a bit, but I feel like it gives me a nice conclusion to it. I mean, you know, I don't think it's as good as Aliens as a sequel.
I think everything after Aliens, I think, is a near perfect genre movie. You know, shoot stuff, say stuff, see stuff. There are character bits in it that really work. There's escalation that doesn't seem like just pure escalation. I mean, there's some terrific scenes in that movie. It hits. I mean, Aliens is the kind of thing where I can just sit. You know, it sticks you to the couch if it was playing somewhere. Terminator 2, unless I'm watching that first, like, you know, her escape, the escape from the mall, wherever that horrible little kid is. He writes the worst fucking dialogue, though. Oh my God, Cameron does not know how people talk, and nothing exemplifies that more than Edward, whatever his name is, the way he talks as a kid. Just go meet a kid. Have a kid read your script. When you're doing it, because you made Alien and everything. No, and True Lies is one of the worst fucking movies ever made. That was a real letdown.
Worse than Things?
And then it was just like, this is
racist. It worse than Things?
It is more insulting to me than Things. It just amazes me that something like that can just have all this money spent on it. It's wrong-headed. It's nasty towards the Jamie Lee Curtis character. It's nasty to Arab people, as if they're all terrorists. It's just such a manipulative, shitty film. That another film where they don't know what to do. So let's have comedy with Roseanne Barr. That movie doesn't know where it's going. Yeah. You know, let's have the whole section with Bill Paxton. Makes no sense as a script. Get rid of it just to get him to pee in his pants. Yeah. Whatever the fuck.
Well, Bill Paxton,
bring him back.
People have weighed in on what they think. You know, Robert Rodriguez. Here's the thing with Robert Rodriguez. Okay, Desperado might be one of the best Western action films ever made, in my opinion. I think it is beautifully put together, and it looks great. And I think the first 2 Spy Kids movies are really good. Planet Terror, I enjoyed. He makes bad movies, though. He's someone who will make a very unsatisfying movie. Faculty, I think, is really good. I enjoy that a lot. You know,
the Faculty like his Sleepy Hollow. It's just a good B movie.
Yeah,
that has you're watching it and you're going, this is a lot better than I thought it would be. This doesn't make me feel, it's just, good fun.
Right.
It's good casting. Right. Good casting in that movie. I like the people in it. I like the way that it kept going. It had its own inner logic that made the movie keep making sense to go off the rails. Spy Kids 2, I remember being a lot of fun. I didn't see the first one or whatever. Yeah. I'm really bad on Rodriguez. These are my biases. I don't like it. I didn't want to see the one with Quentin From Dusk Till Dawn because I hate Quentin Tarantino. He just turns me off. I don't like looking at him.
He's coming up. He's coming up on the comments as being someone a lot of people here don't really like.
I dislike him. I dislike his movies for a lot of the same reasons I dislike him. I just think I just don't need him in my life, if you know what I mean. There's lots of stuff to watch, and I don't quite. I've only seen one of his films, and I just was like, that was okay. Reservoir Dogs, that was okay. But he's another one who's so involved in his own shit that, wasn't that great? Those characters just talked for 10 minutes. Yeah, whoop-de-doo. But for 10 minutes, the movie went away, and then came back to not much. And like the ear scene, what about the ear scene? It did nothing for me. Any Argento scene is scarier than that ear scene. I thought it was weak. And the music and the pop culture, and I'm like, I like putting in the pop culture stuff, but shoving a lot of it into a movie where it's like really concrete. It's constantly in front of you. It's not words on a page that you could just kind of forget. But they talk about Madonna. That was supposed to be a big fucking deal. That they talked about Madonna and that he ripped off Taking a Pelham 1, 2, 3, City on Fire. He gets called out on all this shit, and he's celebrated, and I have no interest. But Rodriguez, I didn't see. The reason Desperado was a movie I desperately wanted to see. I thought it looked fantastic. It looked like John Woo making a cowboy, a Mexican cowboy movie with this mythic hero, and things were over the top, and the ballet and operatic violence. I just never got around to seeing it, and then it just became years, and I just never caught it. And at this point, I feel like I've seen too much of it. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I guess so.
I'm a guy wearing a fucking bear hat. I just realized, But yeah, I did not see most of his movies. The Faculty was surprisingly compact and solid. Spy Kids 2 had a lot of heart and was a lot of fun. It was also nice to see some non-white family and all that stuff. Yeah. I mean, not to virtue signal, but I like seeing. That's why I like watching foreign horror movies. I like seeing different people reacting to things differently,
right?
Being represented, so learn about their mythos, see how they're. I like watching Thailand horror movies, not just for the horror, but because the culture is. Right. I'm learning things.
You don't,
and I don't know the cliches yet.
You don't know the tropes. You don't know the cliches. You don't know. So the thing is, you might be watching something that you go, "Oh, I never saw that before." That might be something they're used to seeing all the time, but it's refreshing. That's what makes so much horror and other movies.
Yeah, and you're not on familiar footing. When I watched. We got Netflix, and they had a lot of Thai and Korean horror movies. I wish they could get them back. So I was watching them, and the Korean films had more in common with the Japanese films that I had seen, but the Thai films and they were on a very different level. The stories that took place in the past, the culture was very different to the culture that I had seen in Chinese movies, Japanese movies, and then Korean movies. That might not even be true, but what they were concentrating on in those films, different attitudes towards family, community, and the supernatural, what they believed in and what they didn't believe in. So in a lot of these movies, this also happens in Korean. It does happen in the other movies, but people accept the supernatural and you move on. They're scared immediately because somebody, did something wrong. And there's a movie, Shudder. Have you seen that?
No.
And it's got a lot of J horror tropes because those spread out, and The Ring I think did a lot for that. But I found Shudder really compelling. Just the people who were in it, the decisions they made, relationships, the jobs they had, the stores they went into. It was an entirely different world. So I was not on the same footing as if this was an American movie and they walked into a camera shop or then went to eat, then went out into the, they don't go out into the jungle in America or whatnot, and they have different mythos, they have different traditions. So I really do enjoy watching. It's the same thing when watching a Russian genre movie or Strigoi, which had some really interesting stuff.
Right.
But I don't follow any directors. I stopped following directors maybe 20 years ago. Really, Coppola. I probably agree with you.
Yeah.
The thing about Coppola is that I think that Coppola's highs are really good, and I think the rest of it is really dumb.
Well, I think,
really like.
Yeah, I think that I think that he's made some of the, arguably better films, best films ever made. I could understand why people look to his films and say, yeah, this is amazing. But I think he's a taste. I can honestly see not being able to sit through his stuff.
I think he believes his own shit, like a lot of great directors and whatnot. I think he's got the Leopold. I think he believes his shit. I think that he feels he's always right and blah, blah, blah. But like a lot of these guys, that he's lost his way because I don't know what it is. You expand and you get more money. And I guess after a certain point, he went nuts and he started Zoetrope and everything and just money bleeding out. They spread themselves out. The movies have to be bigger and take more time and blah, blah, blah. I love The Conversation.
Yeah.
If Scott hasn't seen that, I think he would like that. The Conversation is almost a horror movie without horror in it. It's kind of like the way that The Sweet Smell of Success is a noir that doesn't have any guns. The Conversation is got chilling elements. The revelations and the way it's played and the slow burns. And it's Gene Hackman. If nothing else, I can watch Gene Hackman.
Sure.
Just be Gene Hackman. I like The Conversation. I have not seen Godfather 3, but I like the first one a lot, and I really like the second one.
Yeah.
I heard 3 is a disaster. Tucker is a fun film, but that's all it is. It's a fun film. It's overproduced for a movie that's really shouldn't be.
Apocalypse Now. What do you think of Apocalypse Now?
Apocalypse Now is weird because I'm not familiar with the Conrad story. Okay. I'm as familiar with it as anybody who has read about Apocalypse Now and read Conrad because they had to. I forget what the one. I don't love what I've read of Conrad back in the day. I think there's a lot of things that are really good about Apocalypse Now. I do think it's a movie that goes too often, takes left and right turns just to do stuff. There's even more footage, I don't think you should ever put your actors in psychological harm situations and things like that. Of course. But that's outside of the movie. Watching the movie for the first time, I had no idea that, there are thrilling, amazing scenes. There are terrific performances. There's a lot of excess. And I don't really like any of the stuff with Marlon Brando. When he gets to the Heart of Darkness, I kind of find that whole section. I've watched the movie more than twice, I think, and I feel like that whole ending is just Martin Sheen in water and publicity stills of Marlon Brando saying the horror, whatever the fuck he says. None of that has stuck with me. They kill a cow. That's fucked up. Don't do that. I guess that got cut when it went to England. I think that movie is amazing and has flaws.
Right. I think it's there's very few films that reach a kind of epic level, especially that late in the game. I mean, early in filmmaking, you get a
the
lot of epic.
They still use stuntmen. They would still fly the helicopters. They would blow shit up. It all looks very real. The cinematography is amazing. The use of real music, the surreal thing of having the Playboy bunnies. It's just it seems so out of place. And then you read that this kind of was the way that this shit would happen, that you'd be, you're on duty in Vietnam, and then suddenly there's a USO show, and then the next day you're killing children. There's some amazing scenes in it. I do think that it's paced weirdly. I mean, it's an abusive film purposely. He abused the actors. He abused himself. It's a movie that's kind of hard to talk about because, I mean, I'm not film student this, but the film is so ingrained in that's a movie where the making of the movie is a Heart of Darkness journey on its own, like I was joking about before. That film has become, the history of that film has become so much part and parcel of the film that it's hard to separate. It's like watching The Shining and not feeling for Shelley Duvall as a person as well as a character, and thinking about Kubrick's abuse on the set. It's very hard for me to not take that out of the movie and I love that movie. I'm a real fan of that film. And Apocalypse Now is so, it's almost like a rock star it's almost like Keith Moon or something like that. You're like, look at that drumming. What an asshole. I love this. This is horrifying. It's an amazing film that doesn't always work, but there's sequence. The other problem I have with it though is that it's the war movie thing. I have a problem with war movies. A lot of people do. There's the whole idea of making anti-war movies or war movies about humanity being stripped away. The war scenes is still always thrilling. The war scenes, no matter how bad you show the rest of the movie, your Private Benjamin, I have not seen it, but no matter how bad things happen to the soldiers, no matter how much blood you throw in there, no matter how many platoon scenes of just dismemberment or whatnot, the movie action scenes are action scenes. They are entertainment, even if you're cringing. They are bombs and explosives. It's like when you have movies that are anti-drug or anti-pornography or whatnot. For an hour and 30 minutes, you are paraded by the horrors, and then they give you the message at the end. It doesn't work. It's like when I was in college, they said that one of the problems with crime films, in a book that I was reading about film, which I've never stopped thinking about this moment, when I see things like Goodfellas or Scarface, the person who is in the movie the most is your protagonist, and you are almost always going to root for your protagonist. In Scarface, which I don't like, when Al Pacino, when the character is being attacked at the end, it's not so much a throne of blood sequence. People want him to win, and he's a horrible, despicable man. And crime films really do glamorize violence and crime while going, look how terrible this was. Except all the thrilling scenes are the horrible things that people do, and the sex and the violence and the drugs and the money. The message is so mixed, and I do not want to root for criminals, and I do not want to watch. I don't like war movies.
Right. Right. I also, what's interesting to me about Apocalypse Now is that I think about Heaven's Gate a lot. I compare it to Heaven's Gate in this. It's epic. It's large. The amount of detail they go to is amazing, and to watch it is an experience. But I don't like that movie. It's not a good movie. Right. Where Apocalypse Now has the story is a good story. It takes you through. So. It's enjoyable.
It is like chapters, and I mean, I'm sure he stuck to the story. I don't know the story very well, but it does feel like chapters. It almost feels like, okay, next chapter. Like it breaks down clearly on the DVD into chapters that they can put names on. You know what I'm saying? Right. Robert Duvall, okay, take care. Kid's got a grenade. That's terrible. Playboy bunnies. There's a longer scene apparently with the Playboy bunnies. They all hole up at a mansion and it's terrible. And okay,
Yeah, there's
it just feels like.
Yeah, that was mentioned in the comments.
Yeah, that's the one. I haven't seen that, but the idea of I would like to see the director's cut of Apocalypse Now, but maybe if I'm on a plane, you know what I mean? I've got hours to kill, and this will take my mind off of my chewing on my skeleton, my teeth, and everything. And but it's a lot. It's a lot. It's hard for me to watch director's cuts because it's the same reason that a lot of people don't watch the extras. They're like, I'd rather watch a new thing. This thing will not stay. Yeah, I'm all confused about the camera and the image. I'd rather watch a new hour and a half ridiculous horror movie that I don't like really than watch. And I say this after watching 6 hours of Crystal Lake that Paul made available to me, but that was super enjoyable because I can sit there and watch people go through a whole bunch of films, and then it's actually a story at the end of that movie because they go through the franchise. So it's not just people talking about one movie. It really is a story with recurring characters,
right? Crazy
decisions, relationships that break up. It's. I really found the Crystal Lake Memories more fascinating than anything in Friday the 13th. It was riveting. I watched them 3 hours and then 3 hours because I was like, it was like eating chips,
right?
More of this shit.
Yeah, I would add too.
I think Coppola deserves his reputation. I think Coppola deserves the reputation, honestly, obviously, but he's made a lot of junk. I think in some ways his most overrated movie is Dracula. I dislike that movie very much. That movie is terrible.
It's a piece of shit.
It's again beautiful looking film with some very bad casting choices, a very silly Dracula. I don't like Gary. I don't like most of the people in that movie. I like that they were trying to do the German expressionism, but you know what? That's only satisfying so far. Ooh, look, the moon has an eye. Okay. But, those movies were like 59 minutes and they did it all the way through, and that was part of the appeal, and it was new. This is just wanking. This is just film school wanking. And the movie is too clean, too slick, too boring, and they don't use their characters. The best character in there is Richard E. Grant because he's Richard E. Grant. So he's going to be the best character in the movie, most likely. Like, I can watch him in Hudson Hawk. Don't tell me I said that. And I love Richard E. Grant out of most of the movie, and then bring him back at the end just to throw fake rocks and shit in some fake castle. The movie has no heart. The movie has no soul. It is a dead, overproduced horror movie. It's not even a horror movie. It's a period movie. It's like Tucker for vampires, except Tucker's got some heart. Peggy Sue Got Married is okay. It's harmless. It's not great though. It's it feels like he's slumming. Yeah, I know. You love Hudson Hawk. People love Hudson Hawk. I hated it. I appreciated what it was trying to do. Hey, but I think it's a mess. I wished it was almost either more fucked up and incoherent, or.
Is that possible? I love it. We saw it in the theater, and here's the thing. I started seeing Hudson Hawk, and we sat down, and the beginning happens, and I'm like, what the fuck is going on? This is such a piece of shit. And then I went, oh, this isn't the real world. Hudson Hawk does not take place in our reality. It takes place in some fantasy, And once I was there, I loved it. Absolutely loved it.
I think the movie beats people into submission who love it. I'm sorry. I just don't like it. That movie feels like the Brooklyn asshole version of Beat the Devil. Did you ever see Beat the Devil with Peter Lorre and Humphrey Bogart and Sidney Greenstreet, I think?
Yeah, a million years ago. Yeah.
Just people fucking around because they had the time and they got somebody to put some money into a movie, and it's all like basically a fucking wank. It's like a put on. We're having a good time at your expense. I mean, they're having a good time. I did not have a good time.
Yeah.
I loved Richard E. Grant and Sandra Bernhard. I wanted them to win. I thought they were funny. I wanted them to be James Bond in a serious James Bond movie. You know, like that's the Joker and Harley that I would like to see.
Yeah.
Is two people who are totally into each other and are against everybody else. And nobody, you know what I mean? They are two halves of a whole crazy pie, and they love being evil and they love fucking around. Every scene with them, I loved. Like when they left, I was like, oh shit, you know. Danielle and Bruce Willis, it's like I've hung out with these fucks. I've been beaten up by fucks like this. I'm glad they're having a good time. All I just kept thinking is there must be mob money in this movie. Mob money, mob money, mob money. Hey, we're named after candy bars. Okay. I hate it. I hated it. It's like I always think of it as Ford Fairlane, which I've never seen, but I feel like those should be on a double bill.
Ford Fairlane has one good line in it that's hilarious.
The Last Action Hero, another movie that I've not seen, but people seem to either hate it in numbers.
Yeah,
and
I think it's. I really think it's good. I think it's a. I saw that in the theater.
Is that Cameron?
No.
Who made The Last Action Hero?
Jesus Christ!
There was a known name director to that.
I think you're right. I'm looking.
My thing on that is that the thing with The Last Action Hero for me was I don't find Arnold Schwarzenegger inherently interesting. I don't like most of his movies.
John McTiernan. So.
John McTiernan. The name sounds familiar, but I'm confusing it, I think, with John McNaughton, who's the Henry guy or whatever his name is. It sounds real familiar. He probably.
The funniest thing in Ford Fairlane is Gilbert Gottfried calling him Suzuki Samurai, because Gilbert Gottfried is the best. I feel like he was in that movie going, "What the fuck am I doing in this fucking movie?"
I like Gilbert Gottfried on screen, not like Gilbert Gottfried so much as like a guy who calls into radio shows and says really shitty things and doesn't care about anybody else. But he was friends with at least he was he's friends with Scott Lobdell, a shitty person and terrible writer in comics who's been booted out of comics finally. And I felt like anybody who's friends with Scott Lobdell, there's got to be something fucking wrong with them. That's a no. That's just rings a bell. But and also, I used to watch him. That was a guy that I used to follow. I think he was on Thick of the Night, and then he did USA All Night. He'd go, I can't see that you can't. The fog is so. There's a bit where he walked through a prop department of a production company, and all he did was make jokes. He'd pick shit up, and it was like, and he picked up these 2 feet. The fog, it's so thick, you can't see 2 feet in front of you. And I just thought, I love that kind of. He was just riffing on stuff. He was picking stuff up, and whether he'd planned it before, he was funny the whole way through. I was in pain, and he's just somebody though who's so one note. He won't. The voice doesn't do it for me, and he's also one of those guys. Last I read it, checked in on anything he did. I mean, he doesn't give a shit, and most people, and it's not a big deal, but he's one of those guys who feels like he should be able to say whatever the fuck he wants.
Right.
The difference between him and most of the scumbags who do that is he's funny. He's actually funny. And he actually writes his own material and comes up with shit. And he seems to be very rigorous as a comedian, But I just don't have the whole, I'm sorry. If you have to be funny just by throwing shit on people, if that's really, I can't defend that. And I'm somebody who has done some comics that I wouldn't do now. Let's put it that way. That doesn't mean that you can't still do something violent or crazy or foul-mouthed or transgressive. Ooh, it's you know what I mean? But most people who yell at that they're being transgressive basically just means I don't want any blowback from this. Shut up. I don't want to hear it. I don't want real life to intrude on my entertainment or my job. That's all. I just want to freedom of speech. Freedom of speech. And they're also the biggest ones that when people say, I don't want to go see your shows, people shouldn't go see you, that starts screaming about, you don't have that right to say that.
Right.
But whatever. We're off on a tangent. Yeah, I didn't see Ford Fairlane. Shit. It's got Andrew Dice Clay. Why the fuck would anybody see that?
Yeah.
I think the lead actress in that was somebody I had a crush on. the woman from Picket Fences, but it turned out she was crazy. She was going out with Jim Carrey, and they were crazy together.
I'm thinking of if any other directors came up. Here's another question: Have you seen Only Lovers Left Alive? I have not.
No. No. I only know it through. Isn't there a song? Is that based on something? Is there something? I feel like there's a Long Blonde song called that, and I'm wondering is there a source for that phrase? That I'm
not sure. Unfortunately, no. The reason even though I didn't think either of us had seen it, it's like I just wanted to bring up that Tilda Swinton is brilliant. I think that she is an amazing actress, and like she's amazing in the Suspiria remake. It's unbelievable how good she is. And
I only know her through osmosis, through everybody who loves her. You know? I'm more aware of her because she's a phenomena, if you know what I'm saying. There are people who are into Tilda Swinton for more than her acting, and you know, for her, for the choices she makes and the choices people in the films make. But she's not in films I'm super into seeing right now. I guess she's into films that are supposed to be good. And I would love to hear your opinion on the new Suspiria, because I think I do want to see it. I do want to see it, but I don't have access to it. I think.
No, I think it's on Prime too. So if you get your Prime set up, you'll be able to watch it.
I got to figure that crap out. I mean, basically, all I watch now is if it's on YouTube. Sometimes I look at Netflix, spend an hour, and then not watch anything, just being pissed about Netflix. And I know you have this Netflix. Can I see something other than you would like thriller? You know, I Saw the Devil. Foreign movies, I Saw the Devil. Comedies, I Saw the Devil. How the animation? Critically acclaimed movies, I Saw the Devil, or whatever the fuck it is.
Have you seen that? Have you seen I Saw the Devil?
No, you told me not to, so I didn't. Really? And I met one of the producers from that movie, and I don't like it. No, I'm thinking of a different movie. I'm thinking of a different movie. I like the movie. I think it goes a little off the rails at the end, but I think it's something that's definitely worth a watch. I think the Netflix description says something about a serial killer. I might be misremembering this. Yeah. And I see serial killer in 9 times out of 10, unless it's Hangman. I don't like serial killer stuff.
Right.
I'm in the minority of not liking. I'm in the minority of being very middle, on the fence, and not really liking Silence of the Lambs. And people. I just have real problems with it. I think that's a movie that has super impact when you watch it, and it does not. There are things about it that I don't buy, and there are choices made. I think the movie stops dead once, you know, your suave villain leaves the movie. It's like a whole other movie. And I think the stuff with Buffalo Bill is kind of crap. And I think the ending is, except for the fact that there's the misdirect, I think that the ending is kind of ridiculous. You know?
What ending do you mean? The actual action ending, or the very ending? Yeah.
It's like they ran out of time. It's like the most uninteresting. He's got, you know, it's like, you know how movies would use new technology and that would be their whole ending. Really, our ending is not so great, but I've got this laser scope. Look at the light it makes. Look at the and it was like he turned off the lights, and he's got the goggles on, and she just manages to hear him and shoot him.
Right.
And that's it.
Right.
It's the least thought out, worked thing. I hate the Buffalo character. And the other thing is, Scott. The other thing is, I seem to be on the. I think that is it Scott Glenn? Is that the actor?
Yes.
Yes. His boss. Hey, he was the one on the motorcycle in the Keep. He's still on that motorcycle.
No, I thought that his character. He got off that.
Scott Glenn's character feels like a character who's supposed to be much more important, because he probably is in the book. And I just think his character is a waste of time.
Yeah,
I'm sure that there might be thematic reasons to it. And I think Anthony Hopkins is too well loved by the filmmakers. They can't stop giving him more time to be this erudite, brilliant psycho. He's their Joker, and there's too much of him in it. He takes over the entire fucking movie, even though he's not really the villain. And I think he looks so stupid in that getup that they put on him. I'm sorry, that's one of the worst horror movie, thriller movie. Watch out for this guy, he bites. That thing, he looks as bad as the parody in Scary Movie or whatever. He looks stupid in that fucking tin can mouthpiece and wrapped up like a sausage. He looks like a funny mummy.
Well,
and they present that like it's supposed to be terrifying, and it's become a toy. And I think that's one of the worst iconic things ever.
Right. I agree with Scott that I think Brian Cox makes a much better Lecter. He's in Manhunter.
Manhunter, because Silence of the Lambs kind of did. That's Michael Mann.
Yes, Manhunter is a very interesting movie. I think it better represents the characters from those books. I mean, Red Dragon and Silence of the Lambs are terrific stories, and then he goes off the rails and writes books that are absolutely. I threw the sequel to Silence of the Lambs across the book, across the room. It was so bad.
Is that the one that made the movie where they're eating some guy's brains while they're freezing him so he can stay alive?
Yeah,
that's not contrived. That's not contrived at all.
It feels. We had theories for years that Thomas Harris did not write Hannibal. Brian and I.
I remember you guys saying that. Yeah.
We just didn't believe it because it didn't make any sense. The characters just didn't fit in. Hannibal is a vampire book and a vampire movie in a sense. It's not those other books. He's not a serial killer by that point.
So when does he become like a king of the vampires and then ascends to becoming like a god and then?
Well, if the books go through a thing where Hannibal Lecter is the scariest thing on earth, and then Hannibal Lecter's escapes. So, oh my God, how will we handle that? And then Hannibal Lecter, how will we catch him? And it's terrible. And then it's Hannibal Lecter, let's feel sorry for him. And
one of the things I don't like about Silence of the Lambs is I don't like that ending. I liked it when I first watched it.
Oh, that's not the book.
I know. I'm going by the movie.
Yeah. Oh no, that's what you have to.
Weirdly enough, after the movie came out, I wanted to read the book, and it's odd because everybody loves it, and it's one of the rare books that I put down. For some reason, I couldn't. It didn't stick. I got real bored with it.
Did you read Red Dragon?
No. Okay. No. But
I would read that. I would read that if you had to read two of them. Read that.
The end of Silence of the Lambs, we're supposed to kind of be cheering for this anti-hero.
Yeah, right.
Cannibal. And he's going to kill this guy because the guy's jerky, really.
Yeah,
the guy's doing his job. Just because we like Anthony Hopkins better as an actor than this no-name, nattering dude, we're actually rooting for him to go eat some guy who really didn't do anything. And people laugh at, woo, Hannibal. And, it's not real life. But I just felt, what a sour, dumb note. Because they didn't have a real ending. Because that's their real ending. And it's just like, this character really doesn't. He just puts her through the ringer. I kind of hate that. I don't like psychological thrillers on the whole. They're really easy to turn into garbage. To have characters hissing at each other and driving each other mad and playing on each other's fears and all that shit. It turns into psychodrama. It turns into bad theater.
Yeah.
And 9 times out of 10, the writers are so in love with their psychotic guy or girl or whoever that they can't stop giving that person dialogue. They can't stop having that person be the greatest evil mind. They're so invested in their Darth Vader, in their Hannibal Lecter. Oh, it's so funny that he's named Hannibal and becomes one of the only things that rhymes with Hannibal. That's good. Come on. My name is Jonathan Apist, and I'm a bootlegger. See, that was funny. But, I mean, come on. That's like fucking Vincent Stegron in Marvel Comics. He falls into the pit that turns him into a Stegosaurus.
Yeah. Yeah.
An embarrassing turned into a mammoth.
Have you seen Midsommar, Evan?
No, I would like to.
Neither have I.
It's one of the newer ones that has piqued my curiosity, I guess. There's a movie I want to say. Have you ever seen? This is something that Scott Dorward met. A Field in England. I had read about it, and then he had talked about it.
No, I have not.
I'm really curious about it because it seems fascinating. But then I saw some scenes from it, and it was kind of like, don't know. But first of all, I love the name. I just love the simple name. It's just got such a great photo.
I know what this is. Yeah, I've never seen it, but I do know this movie. Yeah, it's interesting. Yeah, I'm sorry.
I saw a couple of scenes from it, and it looked like a bunch of people were making one of those, like they were making one of those trip movies from the 60s, while a bunch of people were LARPing in a field. It might not be emblematic of the entire film, but it looked like somebody was making like not even a good psychedelic band. It was like Sonny and Cher or something, with those, and they just whipped. It was like a Banana Splits fucking thing. The camera was just doing the camera's in your face, and I'm like, okay, this might be a pivotal psycho moment. Somebody might be losing their mind. This might be in someone's head. It's low budget. I don't know. But I mean, it really just looked like one of those movies where they don't have a monster. And I don't think the movie even has, but push the camera into people, swirl it around. It's up, it's down. And I'm like, and it's like, we're two wizards. And, and I'm like, I'm waiting, I've got a staff, and I was just waiting for them to break, all right, break for lunch, and then we're going to storm the Orc Castle. Everybody, peace, bond your weapons. And I was just like, holy shit. It really does look. That's why I like bad, cheap science fiction movies in the 50s, because everybody looks like they are LARPing. Buck Rogers, like just a bunch of adults, spacemen.
Yeah. Tunics make no sense to me, right? Space outfits with tunics. I was watching something today. Why would you have a tunic? Why would you have a wide belt in the future? That seems so goddamn uncomfortable.
The two things I love about those space movies, the Japanese kids shows of the 60s and 70s, those movies that we talked about once on the podcast, those European international cast, crazy clashes of Italy, Spain, England, America, Japan. Like they just it's the future. They do that Star Trek cast, and they've got aliens with forearms, but everything's mod and wild, and they're all sitting in places going, there's always like a bank of women sitting in chairs at screens going, Commander. Other than like get up and walk and blah, 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 never go on adventures. And those 50s and 60s science fiction movies, because it's like they're all cobbled together with props and clothes that somebody had access to. So it's like robot monster suit. You can literally see the Frankenstein set showing up in movies. People who are way crazier than I am have tracked some of the Universal sets and props throughout movies. And I'm not sure. Some of that shit may have appeared in Young Frankenstein. But like they knew where that stuff was, and you could see the same. I love when they recycle stuff, but those movies are so cheap that they're basically like, kitchen knobs, tunic, because they had made a movie where everybody was wearing tunics. So that's our space outfit.
Yeah.
Sucker for those. It really does look like a bunch of people. Bob, excuse me, I'm Commander Garvin. Third blah, blah, blah of Star Command. I'm Jason of Star. Right again. Don't break out a turn. Don't crack out a turn. You'll be fired. You'll have to go work in the engine room when nobody sees you. What?
No, I was commenting. What? Sorry.
I'm trying to find what I watched that I liked.
Okay.
And that I could actually. All right, I did watch some things, but they were a while ago. I watched Rock and Roll Nightmare. I don't even remember what it was. Oh, Rock and Roll Nightmare. Yes, I do remember what it was. See, this is hard, right? Heavy metal, massacre, heavy nightmare, rock. I don't know how people parse those, but this is the one that's easy to remember because this is the one with Thor.
Right.
And it's fucking amazing.
And you must love the ending then. I think we've hinted at the ending.
This is the only rock music horror movie that actually has a slow burn. Because everything pales to that amazing ending. That ending, I actually was laughing out loud. I mean, so Rock and Roll Nightmare stars Thor, who is a Canadian heavy metal singer, and his band was called Thor. He's actually still active. There's a documentary about him.
I've seen
Ken
it.
Hart, I saw it too. It was kind of depressing, but he's a guy who just continues to follow his dream, and the band almost went huge at one point. He's also a bodybuilder.
Right.
So his name is Thor. His band is named Thor, and he loves movies and things like that. So when you go see him, he's this huge dude, muscled up, singing heavy metal. And he also would, at his concerts, blow up a hot water bottle.
Right.
He would just keep, and I think I have mentioned this before, that Ken Hart and I watched him do this in a hotel at the Creation Con, in a meeting room at a hotel, along with 100 other people, and it was terrifying because he was not because he was out of shape, because this is a stupid thing for a human being to do.
You don't know that he has much strength, Thor.
I know, but if he let that bottle go and all of that compressed Thor air went back into Thor's system,
you can't contain Thor.
Asshole.
You can't contain Thor. Thor does what he wants. Now, did you see him? Did you see him blow up a hot water bottle on Uncle Floyd? When I was a kid in the 70s.
Excuse me, Paul. I saw it live. Okay.
Yeah, but I saw it on Uncle Floyd. I'm sorry.
I have his first single.
Oh,
I have his first 45.
Oh, what a dick.
Called "I'm Blowing Up Bottles, Baby."
Well, why don't you talk some more shit about Thor, huh? Maybe you wouldn't if he was here.
I'm talking shit about you. You know what we should do? Why don't we just have one of these get-togethers and just show Uncle Floyd and get sued?
Ugh, Uncle Floyd.
That'd be great, right? But
no one knows what we're talking about.
I know Thor was on Uncle Floyd. Uncle Floyd is a. I think we have to explain what Uncle Floyd is, Paul. It is unfortunately very obscure.
Okay, Uncle Floyd in the 70s on a local UHF station created a kids show. I think it was 1974. But the problem was Uncle Floyd eventually morphed into more of an adult comedy because he was doing it with his friends for no money. And when I mean local show, I mean it was as local as you could get. UHF stations,
it's almost cable access.
Right. Now the thing is, my parents got a thing called Wameko, which was a paid service, right? And you had to tune into this UHF channel, and that's how I discovered Uncle Floyd. I think in 1977 or 78.
It was a local. It was 68 in New Jersey, and then at 8 o'clock, I think it turned into Wameko.
Yeah,
weird freaking way to watch things.
Right, and Uncle Floyd is an adult kid show with a bunch of friends, made with no money, being very goofy, and it is one of the most important influences to our my sense of humor. I think it might be yours too.
In a nutshell, here's the proof. Here's what Uncle Floyd means to me. My mother comes into the room and I'm watching Uncle Floyd. And she said something that mothers have said about Mad Magazine, EC Comics, punk rock, etc., etc. Oh my God, that horrible show. Turn it off. And if the show is kind of like vaudevillian. Yeah. The thing is, a 70s and 80s show. These guys. Also, this is important to me because these guys were pop culture junkies. They weren't necessarily into the kind of things that we're into, but I do love old show business. And Paul and us and me and my friends, we got a lot of their references. They were into rock and roll. They were getting into punk rock and new wave. Some of the younger people, I mean, Floyd doesn't know what any of this stuff is, but he plays piano. You can see he's wearing what looks almost like dance hall, vaudeville, Bigfoot comedy, you know what I mean? And the characters are all doing Mad Magazine-like characters and parodies of musicians and of old movies and old tropes and making fun of kids shows. But at the same time, the show is still geared towards kids, but a lot of the jokes are adult, but they were double entendres, and they would start joking about each other's lives and things that happened. because they would just start making fun of it. Like, yeah, you would know every day in, day out, you'd find out the story of Charlie's car because people would make fun of him. And then kids, they had art on the wall, and the art would reflect the rest of the show. So kids would be sending in, like 9-year-olds would be sending in these really bad crayon drawings of Charlie's broken down car, making fun of him. So that you got kids ragging on them, and he was the punching bag of the entire show too. It kind of sucked.
And one of the things that's really interesting too is they had bands on, but we're not talking about the worst look. I mean, they had the Ramones were on all the time.
Loved Uncle.
Right. Squeeze's first U.S. appearance on television was on the Uncle Floyd show when he was syndicated on NBC. I mean, so all these great bands, wrestlers. Also, Uncle Floyd is from New Jersey. So he's not only making references, we know the towns, we know the cities. And it was a fun show to watch and hang out with these people.
The dynamic was amazing because it was 5 days a week. It was responding to the shows that had already just happened because the people who were sending in art for the wall it was like a letters page. Some of them were just, we love the Ramones. It's great to watch these things because he goes, you just see New York Mets suck. Yankees are great. Yankees suck. Uncle Floyd, and he's got a giant nose. Somebody draws Oogie, make a puppet. They also, all the characters that were not people, all these puppets and props were just pieces of pop culture and junk stuff that they'd find. They'd find Oogie is an English puppet that if Scott's watching, maybe he might, I don't know if that's recognizable.
It's a Walter Ego Pendleton doll. And I actually have an Oogie I got from England a couple of years ago.
But it's like the Hugo Man of 1,000 Faces, which was a toy sold. Anybody who read comics in the 70s remembers Hugo Man of 1,000 Faces, who was a little dummy. I showed him like on one of these, and you put makeup, you put wigs and eyeglasses, and he was a disguise master. Somebody on the show got a Hugo Man of 1,000 Faces puppet and then just starts having him dance on the show every night.
Yeah.
And that becomes a thing. And Bones is a candy toy that used to be, Hugo. Bones Boy was a candy toy that they took the candy out of and painted as a skeleton. And what's great is that they abuse these things because they'd be throwing them around. I mean, it was like being at a party with a bunch of idiots and you all knew they were idiots. And they'd have to, the characters, Bones Boy would be like, you gotta paint me. I look like crap. The characters would remark on how cheap the show is. You haven't painted my nose in weeks. It was amazing. And they were doing live shows. They were announcing live shows. Paul has a bunch of this stuff on his computer. Unfortunately, the thing about it was,
the thing is when the internet first started, when I got online in the late 90s, one of the first things I did was to look around for people that had old Uncle Floyd tapes. And I found some people, and I've collected stuff for years. But what I think Evan was about to say was that Uncle Floyd is very protective of that stuff. So there used to be bands on, there used to be tons of band stuff on YouTube, so you could see these bands perform. They've had them take it down, and they really don't make any of this stuff available.
Well, the bands are a whole separate issue. They can't use the band stuff. Even in stuff that you're able to get, the bands seem to be cut out of them.
Right, but they shouldn't. But it's weird that they take down the band stuff, saying because they were on Uncle Floyd.
Yeah.
I would think the bands would want that up there so you could see their stuff.
Right, well, probably Floyd is making it. Well, they make the thing is, I think we've talked about this a lot, and other people who like the Floyd show. We've actually met Uncle Floyd. We talked to him, and I think we asked questions of him. I've met him twice. I did a signing with him once, which was just like ridiculous. I was like, I want to drive him home. He just knows old pop culture. He's been alive. He obviously a long time. To listen to him, this signing was for the record album that we did, the Dr. Demento, and Sarah and I did Floyd art. I should grab that real quick and show that.
Okay, I was just trying to find a picture, but he's obviously got the real stuff. So
the signing was at Forbidden Planet, and it was the most insane signing that Sarah and I will ever take part in because it was a couple of cartoonists and then Jerry Only from the Misfits, Fred Schneider from the B-52s, which we were stoked. Sarah has like demo press of she's got unreleased demos of B-52 is a huge band for both of us, but definitely for her. I think she used to drive up from Gainesville to Atlanta to see them. So meeting Fred Schneider was like, and he was really cool. He was really cynical and funny. He was nice to everybody, but if somebody came up and acted like a jerk, he would really cold them. It was just fucking great. A guy comes up and goes, "You want to hear my impression of a B-52 song?" And he just went, "No." It was great. It was great. And who else was there? Dennis Dyken, drummer from the Smithereens and also a WFMU DJ and just apparently pop music aficionado. And why am I blanking? Drew Friedman, who's somebody I am enamored with his artwork. Drew Friedman, he used to do his own comics. Now he just does portraits and artwork, and he's amazing. In Raw back in the day, very in demand, but very drenched in old pop culture, show business, Jewish show business. So it was amazing to listen to, and Dr. Demento, of course, but he wasn't close to us. It was amazing to listen to the whole night, Uncle Floyd, Dennis Dyken, and Drew Friedman talk about New York and theater, vaudeville, Yiddish theater, Italian bands, different places the last places that were burlesque. It was like I could sit there for, it was amazing. It was like one of the few times I'd be quiet in my life and didn't talk a lot. I was in awe of some of these people. I was so excited to be seeing Uncle Floyd again because Paul and I got to meet him at something out here on Staten Island. And I have pictures. I never showed them. I've got all these pictures, and I look like this in every one of them. I look so messed up. This is the this was crazy. This was a great job. I didn't realize it was going to be this. That's the front of it. I have it signed by. We have 2 copies. Sarah and I both got copies, and our piece ended up being when you open it up. I don't know if this is. Hold on, I'll stop it in a sec. Is that visible at all?
Fairly.
But our piece ended up in the center of the thing. And we were like, oh my God, I worked my ass off on this. I can't show it to you through this, but it took me, this is like in the house. This was because we were broke and I was working on this thing. But what I did was I wasn't allowed to put any real bands on this. And I wanted to make this a very 80s. I wanted to have Uncle Floyd, Oogie, and then the background would be a mix of things from the Uncle Floyd show and a mix of real bands from the New York area as much as possible. And I couldn't do bands, so I had to fake the band names. And what I did was I did a mashup of Uncle Floyd characters, Uncle Floyd shtick with the bands. So Cowboy Charlie, I'm trying to find some of this. Like I got the Meat Puppets, MEET, are playing at Mr. Tony's with the Hiss, and I've got a shirt that's a Devo shirt. You know, it's just crap like that, and all ages, all sizes. And I've got the skanking dude drawn as who's the guy with the potato head? You know, the guy. This is not good radio, but I got Chuck Little Hat in here and Bones Boy and the Teen Idols, and instead of Jodie Foster's Army, it's something stupid. But this was, I just couldn't stop working on this piece. To me, it was a love letter to Uncle Floyd. So we went to the thing and I showed it to him, and he was super nice, and he talked to it was a huge moment for me and Paul, and Ronnie Hill was there. That was a great day.
It was. I was looking for pictures for when I met him, and I couldn't find it. All I could find was this picture of me making my Hugo Man of 1,000 Faces look exactly like me. So that's the.
That's the greatest picture ever.
I have some issues.
You know what's great about Hugo? There looks a lot like a Jerry Anderson puppet.
Oh, he does.
He looks like Specs. What was the guy's name? The one who literally has Brains. Maybe I think it's Brains. Yeah. I think Joe 90 also has glasses. How do I know this shit? But I do have. If I emailed you a picture, would you be able to use it?
Of what?
On my computer. I have a picture of Uncle Floyd.
Yes,
Maybe
yes.
I'll look. I'll look. Yeah, let me figure this out. But yeah, it's a goofy. It's the kind of thing that really doesn't happen anymore. It was an actual broadcast, insane kids show that was influenced by punk rock, 1920s to 1940s entertainment and pop culture. Neil, they were parodies of Elvis Costello, parodies of Bruce Springbean. They got sued for making fun of oh, that was the thing. The two people who's the guy, the Channel 9 guy who died, who the Mr. Nostalgia, Joe Franken. Joe
Franken. Yeah.
Joe Franklin.
He did. Yeah, he did. Franklin.
He sued both of the people that were on the signing. I said, you were the two guys that Joe Franklin sued. He sued Uncle Floyd for doing Joe Frankfurter. Yeah. And he sued Drew Friedman for the incredible shrinking Joe Franklin.
Did I ever tell you the story when I was almost on Joe Franklin?
No.
Yeah. No. Well, it was weird. I was when Frank and I were doing Video Coffee House, right? That was Frank's a friend of ours that we know through Jim Hanley's universe. He wanted to do.
Yeah, sorry.
He wanted to do a show, a video access show, and we did it called Video Coffee House. So we wanted to go on Joe Franklin and advertise it because it was going on Manhattan and stuff. So Frank contacted Joe Franklin and started doing stuff with him to get on the show. So he says, "Yeah, me and my friend want to be on the show. Can we do this?" Yeah. But Joe Franklin made him do stuff. I think he made him hang out in the office and do stuff. And Frank realized it was never going to happen. Then I wasn't going to be on it. Only Frank was going to be on it. Then none of us were going to be on it. So yeah, that was a close call. That would have been a videotape I would have liked.
Well, the funny thing about Joe Franklin was he was the ultimate schnorrer. Everything had to have an angle. Yeah. I think it was Uncle Floyd. Yeah, it was Uncle Floyd who said, yeah, he ended up talking to him. And basically, Joe Franklin just goes, well, I just thought it would be great for both of us. And he was like, you stopped us doing the character and scared the hell out of us and sent us legal notices. But he goes, yeah, but look, look at all the press we got in the newspapers. He was a lunatic. I didn't actually watch his show. I found him boring. But
really,
I like the old nostalgia. But he had, he was like Uncle Floyd, but no kids, and everybody on his show was ready to die. Like Betty Davis is on his show and Bing Crosby, and they're like, watch him die. I used to beat my kids, have some orange juice. Blah, 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 blah.
What about the painter though? What was the painter's name? What was the name of the painter who painted quick paintings? And he would use like toilet paper.
Forget the picture.
Look at the frame.
That guy was like some Russian Jewish guy. He was crazy. Yeah, and he would just be like, I do this and I do that. And he would take like a sharp edge with whatever that sharp edge thing and slap it down and go, forget the picture, look at the frame. And how much for this frame? It was like, that's entertainment, man.
Yeah.
I mean, in some ways, I'm really glad we grew up, that we're at the age we are, because we saw things that will never happen again. And obviously that happens for every generation.
Right.
But whatever the next modes of entertainment are going to be, it seems like they're going to be expansions of everything everywhere. Everyone has their own TikTok. Everyone has their own show. Everyone's an entertainer type of thing where it's all spread out. We are never going to get back to the thing where there is a local television station doing their own programs. Everybody's on the web. It's not regional anymore. I always thought that it was interesting that think globally, act locally, I think also applies to entertainment. It's like if U2 is like the anti-Midnight Oil, you know what I mean? And U2, I thought, was a better band when they were singing about Ireland and Catholicism and whatever problems that they had and how beautiful Bono was. The minute that they started trying to solve the world problem, it was asshole time. You know what I'm saying? It's like, he's saying about John F. Kennedy and shit like that. Like he had it's like, I'm sorry, we already have Sting. We already have one asshole from the UK that thinks that they can solve the world's problems. Do the Russians think about their children? and Midnight Oil kept singing about Australian stuff, So music aside, they made sense, Talk about things don't talk about things you don't know. But we don't have regional there's still regional radio, but that's trampled. Everybody is talking about stuff that everybody knows about.
Yeah.
And it kind of just like, it just makes everything flatten a little bit. At the same time, I mean, the good thing is people who didn't have a voice now have access to technology and broadcasting, and their voice can go out there. So, I mean, I wouldn't go back to it. You know, It's like everything else. I love the way the 40s look, the 30s, the 50s, whatever. I wouldn't go back to it. You know, everybody who has no money has to stay in the horrible heat of New York City. Smell that? That's garbage. Remember smelling garbage everywhere you went? Don't want that back. You know, you have cancer? You might live to 90 now. Sounds good. Except we're all going to fucking die on Wednesday. Oh my God. Ugh. Let's not talk about that. Should I put the boost down? Are people still with us? We've been here a long time, but I'm having a nice time.
Yes, we've got 17 people working. I'm sorry?
What? We did say we would just be hanging out.
Yeah, we weren't going to perform. What the fuck are we going to do? You know, we weren't going to, you know, I mean,
you know what I mean?
In a lot of ways, I like the podcast and what we're doing here to be more like Uncle Floyd than something else, meaning that I like that it's kind of raw and personal and not very involved and shit. You know, we did not start the podcast to push us as person. You know, first of all, we were surprised we had more than 20 listeners. I thought we'd have like 5 listeners, 10 listeners, and we have a small amount. But yeah, this is the Uncle Floyd. There are people who do their own thing. We talk about our lives and we talk about New York and Staten Island stuff, and it's true. We do have our own. And if you listen to something, eventually you'll go, man, they always mention this Paul Girardi guy. I think I'll send a picture to the wall of Paul Girardi's car broken down, which would be fucking perfect. I bought this car for the tires, but the tires don't fit my car.
Yes. That's like he should work for the New York Transit Department. We bought new trains that they don't fit the rails. This happened. Yeah, he bought a car for tires. Oh man, we could do a Paul Girardi episode and have Brian on.
Well, there's actually when I did the silly thing with Pat and Paul back when Paul was in the store, we actually did one. We did an episode about Paul-isms, which are crazy things that this guy has said, and we made him answer these questions. We confronted him and why he believed these things. So
gendarmes have chains in their capes.
That's true, though. But that's actually true.
Airplanes have reflective. They use reflective paint on airplanes so that
anti-lightning plate. Yeah, he's going to be so mad.
He almost beat me up for that one. That was at Alex's party, and because I would just keep going. Was that lightning repellent paint or something? I would just go. I forget what the exact thing is, and he actually got up from his seat. And I had to go walk away because I was. It was an Alex party. I was drunk off my ass at that thing. Oh my God, was I? Oh yeah. That's a memory and a half. Holy shit. Reflective paint. All right, that's not funny anymore. Reflective paint. Look, you say that one more time. I had a lot of people say that to me in my life when I was younger. You say that one more time.
You want something to cry about, Evan? I'll give you something to cry about.
No, that was my mom. That would have been my mom. But the reflective paint. Oh my God. What are some of the other ones he said? There was I don't remember them. I remember you used to put them up on the website.
Chinese food has its own internal heat source. Have you ever noticed that no matter how long you get Chinese food to go home, it's always hot. It always is really, really hot.
He's like Homer Simpson. Oh no, that's Pat. But yeah, also, there are no chopsticks in China.
Well, there was no wood and there's no bamboo in China.
There's no wood. That's why they have steel chopsticks, are because in China they did not have wood. That one almost broken. That killed everybody in the basement that night. That was. They don't. What are the pandas eating, Paul?
Stevie wants to say goodnight because she
Happy Halloween.
You know that looks to do something.
That looks extra creepy with the wider shining carpet thing behind you. It's
what are you talking
really
about?
Weird.
What? It's not weird at all.
The graphic spread out horizontally looks really good.
Yeah. I could do a bunch of stuff.
I would like to get a green screen so that I can put stuff behind me.
I started screwing around with this. It's not very hard. It's
I see people doing it on gaming sites. I obviously it seems to be something that's like really mainstreamed, so you can put behind you, videos of I don't know, Spaghetti Baby. I don't know.
Well, I could do a lot of things. Let's say I wanted to do the weather, right?
Okay. Would you do the weather?
I could do the weather, right?
Oh, that.
Right? So what are you talking about?
Anything against the weather map automatically looks real.
Right. What are you talking about?
You automatically look like, oh my God, the weatherman's lost his fucking mind.
What are you talking about? It makes perfect sense.
And downtown and in the suburbs, the weather will be fucking crazy. Oh my God.
I could do this.
That's great. That's good. That looks like you're selling Willy Wonka bars or something like that.
I'm 53 years old.
This is I'm 55. I don't even know how to do that. I wish I knew
I'll
how to
teach you.
Let me look. I need to learn how to get a better camera set up or something like that. Obviously. Let me look at my pictures. Hold on. I keep using the wrong computer. Does anybody have any questions? Is everybody drunk?
No. People have just said. A lot of people are saying goodnight to Stevie now in the.
Oh, okay, that's so sweet. I love that. I like. Now here's the thing, Stevie. The way that Stevie has kind of crept into the show and then has gotten more stuff to do, and then people are saying goodnight. That's what the whole Uncle Floyd show is like. You would start to learn about their lives, and sometimes they bring their family members in or a kid, and they talk to somebody from the station. Because the funny thing about Uncle Floyd was that the whole Uncle Floyd set that you saw, if the camera moved a little bit, you'd see the piano and the wall. If it moved to the right, you'd see. I think Ken Hart said you'd see the news desk for U60. Literally, and he said it was like the size of Ken Hart used to go to the show. Yeah. He draw Cantaloupe Godzilla cartoons for the wall, and they did have a small audience. It was great when they had a small audience because people would laugh at them.
Well, isn't that a weird thing that here's a guy I'm watching Uncle Floyd as a kid, and then I go to Jim Hanley's universe and I say I love Uncle Floyd, and Ken Hart has pictures up that I remember seeing all those times when I was a kid. It's so.
He had a running joke. I remember it was like, oh, we met the guy. I never sent pictures in. This is a perfect thing about my personality.
Yeah.
I desperately wanted to have a picture up on the wall, and I would never. And you didn't have to draw good. They would have the worst drawings by adults and the kids' drawings are adorable, but he'd put anything up. You didn't have to have a great drawing, and I never would send a drawing in because I thought it had to be perfect or else it wouldn't get. So stupid. I mean, they put up the worst stuff you've ever seen in your life.
Here's another crazy story. Stevie's good friend Ellen's husband has a brother who used to send pictures in, and I found it on tape because it's a scene that you could find because Howard Stern was in it, and it was a joke on Steppenwolf, and so it's such a weird thing when you come across that. I'm sure.
That might have us. Let me see what this looks like.
Sure.
Oh hell,
it's okay.
What happened here? Oh heck. Yeah, and the other thing about the show was that it had this soupy sales aspect to it that they didn't care if people laughed behind the scenes, and they kind of encouraged it. So then it went from people laughing, the cameraman, the other actors who were off stage, other performers and guests, to basically people from the stage, people who were behind the camera would start fucking with the people who were doing the skit. And if somebody fucked up their line, if somebody messed up a line or they dropped a prop, they got bombarded. It was like a wrestling show. People would say, nice going, blah, blah, blah. And and then Charles, what's his face? Looney Skip Rooney, who had the most obnoxious voice on earth, would start screaming at them. And it's like the whole show would break down. The dog, somebody's dog ran on the set and started ripping the prop apart and ruined the whole skit.
And takes a dump. And takes a dump on while the show's recording. And Uncle Floyd's like, don't put that camera down. Keep that camera up.
Like somebody the Wonder Dog And he came in there and just destroyed the set. They'd made fun of their advertisers.
Right. You have to understand, it was funny not because it was they wrote these skits. It's funny because everything went crazy and they just fucked around. It was you know.
It was so I love that. It's a shame though, because I think that Uncle Floyd is getting bad information from people. I think he's getting the people who the guy, it seems, who's an ex-cast member, who seems to be his, I've complained about this before, seems to be like his Vanguard Publishing to his Wally Wood or whatnot. You know, somebody who snags onto somebody and guides their career or becomes their Grimer Wormtug, telling them what they want to hear and stuff, but basically fucks everything up because they don't know what they're doing. None of this stuff is available right now. His legacy is dead.
Right, and we're getting older and older. The fans of the show are getting older and older. He went on into the, he went on into the 90s and stuff like that, I think, for a time, but still, he was
doing an interview show. They weren't doing skits. They were having local guests on. He does a radio show. He does 2 radio shows. He is always working. I've listened to the show he does with Scott. I'm blanking on the actor's name.
Gordon.
Scott Gordon. They do a thrift, like a Uncle Floyd's thrift shop. They play old music and complain about modern life and stuff like that. And he does an Italian language show. He spins records Italian. And the thing is, they would do that too. They would just play music. They'd find a 45, they'd play it and have a skeleton puppet go for like 3 minutes. It was like inadvertently avant-garde half the time. They didn't know what to do, so they'd make fun of local stuff. And if they really didn't know what to do, they would just have people stand in front of a screen and react to a monster movie and try to work a script. It was just the cheapest, stupidest, but most good-natured nonsense. They weren't trying to become rich off of it. And the saddest thing is, the show became a cult item. The show became a real serious cult item. New York is a hub. Everybody knew Uncle Floyd in the tri-state area. And as the cult grew, people started coming up with offers to try to syndicate it and do things. And he ended up getting a late night syndication deal. But the problem was, it came on after Saturday Night Live, which is like 1 a.m. on Saturdays. And the show was terrible. They made a set. The set was nice and clean. The set was big. They'd have guests. Literally, the guests would make fun of the show that they didn't want to be on it. I remember 2 guys from Monty Python, and they started graffitiing the floor and the walls. It was just so disrespectful to these people who, it wasn't their fault. But they took all the charm out of the show. They tried to make them a real skit show.
Right.
But it just did not work. And after that, there's nowhere to go. If you failed with your shot, where do you go? And, even if you have a good attitude about it, which Uncle Floyd obviously does because he loves the entertainment industry and he stayed in it. He does stand-up, he does piano, he goes to restaurants and plays. He is still super active. He comes from a entertainment family. I think his brother was drumming in a band that was on one of the late-night talk shows.
The Conan O'Brien. He was on Conan O'Brien.
Yeah, Conan O'Brien. But the problem is, you can tell that it's not like their hearts fell out of the show, but it's hard to get knocked down. It's hard to get your chance, and your chance is actually just a total disaster from day one. The slot's bad, the show's bad. Yeah. You could tell that there were producers sticking their fingers into it. This was just supposed to be a show about a bunch of people throwing shit, and goofing up and talking about, Lou Monte songs, which nobody understood. Half the kids didn't understand what they were talking about. So the show eventually petered out, and he's like a local celebrity. He had an interview show. He'd be talking to some stoned heavy metal band that's playing in Syosset next Thursday in a chick in chains. And he's just talking to them, wearing his Uncle Floyd outfit. Franklin in a way, except he didn't have any good guests. Holy crap! So nobody out there has watched Uncle? Maybe else seen Uncle Floyd?
No, nobody. There was a mention earlier on about Uncle Floyd's connection with David Bowie, because David Bowie, when he was living in New York, was absolutely obsessed with him.
Supposedly, John Lennon watched it. A lot of people watched it. I mean, the bands were all very happy to be on it. There's a whole bunch of FMU DJs who were in bands. I didn't realize it, but it was on one of the things that you had. trying to remember his name. Erwin Chusett, I think, was drumming for a band that's in there, and it was like, I recognize some of these people. That was really weird. I mean, the other thing is the Uncle Floyd show was like, it was like early animation. They wiped the shows, so they don't have records of most of it. The stuff they do have is some of the later stuff when they did clean the show up a little bit as a bid for some respect, and they did something more than just having the literally cardboard panel behind them and the busted up desk and the broken radio and the old piano and a few props and chairs. They built a real like Mr. Floyd's neighborhood thing with and it just did not work when they added production value. You know, that whole section was just kind of like it was running on fumes. So because the guy's telling them that it's good. First of all, somebody told Uncle Floyd it cost something like $10,000.
Yeah, to reproduce the tapes, and it's like one of those things of, you know, there's ways of doing it without investing hundreds of thousands of dollars. You have to keep the legacy going. You know, he doesn't know this, and the people who are advising him are really keeping things close to the bone. They'd rather rule in hell. They'd rather serve in, you know, they'd rather be the king of hell than actually get Uncle Floyd's. They're doing his whole legacy harm, and he doesn't know modern technology. He's not interested in the internet. I have his card. I talked to him on the phone a couple of times. You can't email him. Yeah. Yeah. Watching Uncle Floyd, sometimes I had to hit my TV to get it to work. And yet they had the worst shows. U68. They literally get. That's right. Dramarama sings about Uncle Floyd. Yeah, he sang a song on Uncle Floyd, and it didn't work out. Yeah, that was a big thing. It was a big thing. Do you remember the horrible shows? You remember the horrible shows that U68 had? The cartoons. Like Hercules, the fucking Hercules cartoon. Best thing they had was Speed Racer. I watched, and I hate Speed Racer. Oh my god, everyone in Speed Racer is a fucking idiot. Don't they? It's not very. Yeah. Hi, Racer Rex. Hey, Racer Rex. Boy, do I miss my brother Rex. You look so much like him. Do I? He drives so well. Do I? Yeah. Stupid kid. I hated Chim Chim. I wanted them every time Chim Chim the monkey, and it takes a lot for me to hate a monkey because I love a monkey. Chim Chim, every time Chim Chim. Oh, you know what it was? I didn't hate Chim Chim so much as I hated Spritle. Right, Spritle. Spritle could have died in that trunk. They could have opened that trunk. I wanted carbon monoxide. You know. I wanted to see Jimmy Cagney in white heat put a few bullets while eating a sandwich into the trunk of that car. Nobody's. There ain't no kid and a monkey hiding in this car. Look, I'll just prove it. Boom, boom, boom. Speed. I hate it's sad how bad Speed Racer is. Yeah. Slip away. Oh, I don't know that. I would have to. Right. The whatchamacallit, there was also the Hercules cartoon was where Hercules needed to wear a ring. One of the worst. Yeah. Yeah, he needed a ring to have powers, and he would lose it, right? Evan, that was our joke, bro. He drops his ring all the time. I better wash these Herculean hands. Whoops. The centaur, the thing with the centaur, first of all, the animation was amazing. It was like, Herc, trying to get Herc. Now, that's the thing. That was the amazing thing. Adults who think they know what kids want, cynical little bastards, cynical adult bastards. The centaur had to say everything twice. You know, he had to say it was so fucking annoying. I wanted to set that show on fire. My favorite thing about the show was two things that I loved was they reused all the animation constantly. You know, it looked like Space Ghost, Coast to Coast. All these shows looked like that, but these were entire shows that were being made whole cloth. So they'd always repeat the image when Hercules would call on his powers and lightning bolts and shit would come out everywhere. And I remember there's one episode where he's underwater and he calls up his power and there's fucking clouds and lightning bolts. And I'm like, you cheap bastards. You cheap bastards. And there's a sound effect that they would use whenever he shot an arrow and it fucking killed me. Actually, it might have been. Yeah, it went. It was a very Felix the Cat, 50s, 60s Felix the Cat production sound effect. It was like a buzz bomb coming in. And whenever they did that, I would just laugh my ass off. I just loved that sound. This guy would always
Well, it's probably not as funny. You had to have seen it, and if you did see it, you'd be a very unhappy child. You
Right.
For Uncle Floyd to come on, and when the news was on, I was pissed. Get the news off of this. What'd you find? You find some Hercules? Mighty. The theme song is insane.
Yeah, I'm trying to find
images
that I could put up, but it's a little pain in the ass. But yeah, there was also U68. You would also get Green Acres. You would also get Mr. Ed. I
hate both of them. I'm not into the shit kicker stuff. I liked Mr. Ed when I was very young, but I never liked Green Acres, although it turns out Green Acres is a very strange show.
Yeah, I love Green Acres. It's very surreal.
But I was I liked Petticoat Junction. It had cute girls. And
Beverly Hillbillies?
Beverly Hillbillies was one of those things that was like, I endured it. I would watch it. I did not like it. I didn't like the Munsters either, weirdly enough, even though I wanted to like it. I didn't think it was funny. I thought there was a lot of dead material in there. I loved the Addams Family. The Addams Family was pretty terrific, because even when the characters weren't funny, if the attitudes of the characters really sold a lot of it. Gomez and the people who were doing the Addams Family were obviously pretty hip. The people who were doing the Munsters, it just seemed like high concept,
Yeah.
And I like Fred Gwynn, but I just found that character. I hate stupid characters. I can't spend too much time with a stupid character. It's like, I just don't like when the main character is a moron who's always getting things wrong and getting people into trouble. There's a difference between, like, Ralph Cramden is a moron, but he's also egotistical, narcissistic, and insane. So I know you don't like The Honeymooners, and I haven't watched it in ages, but I do like when your main character is a lunatic who fucks up everything and drags people down with him. And Herman Munster is just schmuck. He's just an amiable schmuck who gets taken a lot and then steps in. The only thing I liked was when he would wreck the house, or when they shove the dragon under the stairs.
Yeah,
I love the dragon under the stairs, and I like the I wanted the little doll that Eddie Munster had.
Oh, Wolfie. Yeah,
I love that, and I had a crush on the daughter.
Which one? There were two.
Whichever was the blonde, Pat something. The first one,
she was.
Think.
Yeah, she wasn't the daughter. I think she was the niece or something that came and lived with them.
The monster in the house was the joke being that she looked like a regular person.
Right.
The non-monster. Croft might be her name. I might be wrong.
Yeah.
But I wanted, and they had more money, obviously. They were building cars. They had big sets in the house. They'd show the bowling balls when the grandpa was trying to make hair grow. I love that. Yeah. I just love that. I met him. He's a crazy bastard. He's dead. Al Lewis.
Oh, sure.
I met him outside Penthouse office. He was a guy who used to float around local TV all the time and be on like local talk shows and Joe Franklin, things like that. He was cursing people. They were accepting money, I think, for the homeless. They were doing a fund drive. It was him and Mason Reese, and he'd go money, and he sounds just like, he has that one voice. So I'm like, Grandpa Munster is haranguing people on the street outside Penthouse's office, Penthouse Magazine's office, and it was really surreal. I was doing cartoons for one of the magazines. This was like 1982 or something like that. I don't know, 3. And his way of getting money out of people was, as they'd walk up, he'd be like this: money for the homeless? Can you help out the hungry? Oh, it was the hungry. Can you help out the hungry people? Yeah, you son of a bitch. It was amazing. It was like if Alan Funt didn't give a fuck. He would just, and if somebody didn't give, he would start cursing with the foulest language. You motherfucker. What the fuck is wrong? I was like, this is not a way to make money. I couldn't stop watching this. I watched this for like 20 minutes. He opened the comedy club up on Staten Island. I don't know a single person who went in it, but it was here for years.
I did. Do you want to hear the story? I went to see it because Ritty was supposed to go on. It was an open mic night. So because I'm always early, I went there with Stevie, and we got a front row seat, and I was wearing a green polo shirt, and all the comedians that were on made fun of my green polo shirt, and then they bumped Riddy because he was on. It ran too late. That's my fucking experience with his comedy.
You know, if they didn't run, they all ran over because they couldn't believe this opportunity to make fun of a green shirt.
Yeah.
Holy shit! If we didn't put in the extra 30 seconds making fun of the guy with the green shirt, hey, I did the green shirt first, you know. Yeah, but I tweaked it. I tweaked it, man. I had an angle on the green shirt. I had a callback to your green shirt joke.
I wasn't wearing this at the time. I was just there in a fucking green shirt.
Well, if you were wearing that,
yeah,
everybody would have been bumped. There'd been so much material. The waiters.
Yeah, exactly.
We were all bumped. Go home.
Right.
I only went to a comedy club once in my life, and it was one of the worst experiences of my life. And I have only myself to blame. I was on a blind date. Tommy Lynch brought me out on a blind date with his girlfriend, my chick, as he always used to call him. Oh, well, he did marry her. He took me to a Brooklyn comedy club, and his girlfriend set me up on a blind date. This is after I broke up with Debbie Nazario, Laz. And I was so nervous. One, I had to wear like clothes that I'm not comfortable in. You know, I had, straight looking person. Actually, I wore a green shirt, and the guy made fun of me.
What a dick! Nice shirt, asshole.
Couldn't bring a red shirt. He said couldn't bother to shave. It was amazing. But the thing is, so the thing was, I was nervous about. I've never been on a blind date in my life. I have never been on one since. I'm nervous about meeting this girl. I'm nervous about going to a club where I have to sit down and it sounded very adult. Oh wait, I went to a comedy club twice in my life, but I was nervous that I wouldn't like the girl. I was nervous that she wouldn't like me. I was nervous that I'd say something stupid, or blah, blah, blah. Anyway, I was nervous I couldn't afford some of this. And we go, and she's very attractive. And she's very nice. I mean, I don't think we could have ever gone out. I think that it was just, I'm too nutty or whatever, looking back on it. But I got horrendously drunk. I drank to get to calm myself down, and I became stumble drunk. I mean, I just was like, I was drinking Alabama Slammers.
Oof.
The funny thing is, one of the guys that we saw ended up becoming huge. It was Brad Garrett.
Okay.
Who ended up doing a voice on the Superman show. So we wrote lines for this guy. I could not get up. So when we finally had to go, I relieved myself in the alley next to the comedy club. And as Tommy said to me the next time I saw him, I will never fucking do a favor for you again. They were all mortified. Apparently I was doing where I had my head there, and I was just wow, and I didn't even go hide myself because I was so drunk and so in pee pain that I just I mean, I wasn't whack. Nobody could see what I was doing. I wasn't like you weren't
spinning around pissing in a circle.
Woo! I wasn't. Yeah, ride the bull, everybody. Look at what I've got. Look what it can do. I wasn't like a 2-year-old looking at one of the flowers, But,
you had your pants on your ankles, right?
Yeah, I was like a Walter Matthau character. I don't need this blind date. I just need this Bachelor doll and these chips. Why is someone talking to me on the ride home? Why is everybody mad at me? Well, I was mortified myself. And so that was my blind date. That was just awful. Oh God. So but it was funny. I mean, Brad Garrett was funny if I remember. I remember laughing, but nope. The only other comedy club I went to, I can't remember the name of it. It was the place that you found out about it because everybody on Staten Island, Brooklyn, it was in Brooklyn, was wearing their T-shirt which said warm beer, lousy food.
Okay. Yeah.
They made fun. It was a place that made fun of itself, and I forget what it was called, but it was like a ritual. Everybody, when they were of drinking age or near it, would go to this joint, and they all made fun of you. The waiters made fun of you. They take your jackets and put them on hooks, and then somebody would reel it up to the top of you couldn't get your jacket back. They just fuck. You know what I mean? They'd show up. They'd throw shit on your table. The whole point of the place was to everything was a joke. Everything was insulting. We're idiots. You're bastards. You're cheap. Our stuff stinks. And it was. I actually was freaked out a little bit because it was just so was a little too overwhelming for my first experience going to any kind of place with alcohol served and watching live. I never was comfortable watching comedians, even though I wanted to be one. The few times that I've ever seen somebody do stand up, I found myself insanely nervous that I didn't want the person to not be funny. I didn't want the audience to give them shit. I didn't want an uncomfortable moment. I think there's nothing more uncomfortable than saying I'm going to be funny for the next 20 minutes. And a bunch of people just not, it's like, oh man. We had a guy on Space Ghost. We wanted to do the telethon. We did the telethon episode, and we asked them for a not very good comedian or an amateur comedian, and the guy they got was from a local Atlanta guy, and he was terrible. And we felt bad because we were like, well, we don't have any. We made fun of his act, but we didn't kind of put the knives to him. But he was terrible. He did a routine on camera, and it was sad. Bad comedy is the saddest thing on earth. I mean, bad dancing, bad sex. I mean, there's movement at least. I don't know. Something's going on. It's like watching a ball roll down a tube or something. Like, oh, that was caught my eye. I mean, comedy is just some putts up there. Oh boy. Oh my God. Yeah, I don't like going to see comedians. I don't like seeing things in a small environment. I think it just makes me feel weird, like I'm supposed to be doing something. That is completely insane. I don't think I feel that way anymore, but I feel weird when you can be more noticed, I think. Like if you're going to see the Kinks at the Brendan Byrne Arena, you could just scream like a fucking moron, and then go kick bottles in the the Foreigner concert, and some guy made the Four from the Four album out of bottles. They drank some, and you're just like, this is crazy. But you can't be pinned down by anybody. Going to Live Aid or something like that. Live Aid was fucked up. But if I'm in like a small place and you don't want the band to look at you because they might call you old like the Aquabats did. Remember that? That was the only time I saw them with the whole band. You guys, we all went. I think it was the Bowery Ballroom. Yeah. And they picked us out. Worst fear is that they made fun of our green shirts, basically.
Yeah.
The back band went, hey, you old people.
Yeah.
But we ended up meeting them because of that. It's like, hey, you. I do have that picture. I look like it in that picture. Hold on, let me see what I can. Oh my God, wrong mouse. Let me send you this. There's a picture. I can't see what's going on in it, but I'll send you one of me and Uncle Floyd and one that I hope we're all in, and I'll send you the picture of the Aquabats, and I'm looking like a ding dong. That was a great show. I was so excited because the professor was there. It was like full crew, I think.
Yeah,
and I think they did CD Repo, which you said they didn't do.
No, I think
you saw them a lot.
I think CD Repo Man was the one where it was really hot inside and Sarah was pregnant. I thought that was
no.
I think it was.
I'm telling you, it wasn't.
Well, maybe you're remembering wrong.
I'm telling you, maybe it was. Because I have a bad memory, so I should never argue with anyone. But I really believe that they did. I love CD Repo Man. That song is so insane. Where's this thing? What did he do? No, why do I have a picture of Barbara Feldon? Oh, I know why. It's Barbara Feldon. That was an early crush. Barbara Feldon. Hey, what? I can't find this. Where is it? I look sheepish and embarrassed in this picture, like I shouldn't be there. Hey, that's a picture of me drinking. Oh, there's the pictures you sent me. All the pictures I have of like the back in the day are the pictures you sent me. Yeah. All right, I'm sending some pictures over.
Okay. The pictures are being sent. I assume you're emailing them to me.
Yeah, I did. And this is. Oh, we got sketches on a variant cover. This is exciting. Oh, nobody told me Jill's doing the cover. That's great. Hey, it's an exclusive.
Oh, I got some email from Evan.
Oh fuck. Yeah, Jill, the series that the Beast of Burden series that is getting bumped to 2021, that Sarah and I wrote and Ben is doing, and I think it's fucking great. I don't know about whether you like the story or not. Ben did beautiful work on it. It takes place in Japan, post-war Japan. It's a lot of yokai, a lot of monsters, a lot of made-up monsters, a lot of crazy shit. And it turned out we didn't have a last variant because we didn't work on it for so long. I had no idea. I still have to do a pass. So I'm looking right now at 4 really pretty sketches. Watercolor. She did them in watercolor. Watercolor sketches by Jill Thompson. And
that's great.
I don't know which one's my favorite because they're really good. Okay, I'll get back. Oh my god, I think I might like that because there's a lot of Shibas. Excellent. Oh, that's really nice. I'm trying to get Jill. I mean, I'll say it here because very few people. Yes, you're there, son of a bitch. That's you.
Yes, I know. That's me.
No, excuse me, dick.
What? You didn't know I was in the picture? You just sent it to me.
No, I told you.
At it?
I think you're in. Because I can't see it. I couldn't get it to click.
This is me.
Yes,
that's you. That's Uncle Floyd.
And I'm showing him the artwork. And look at all the people that oh my god. That was one of the days of my life. And I was there with the kid, and she actually had a great time. Yeah. She didn't know what Uncle Floyd was. She didn't see it, but she laughed at a lot of jokes, and she enjoyed all the other crap. There was a magician, and look at me. That's what I look like when I'm happy. A plank of wood, ready to piss myself. I was there's the Aquabats. There's Christian. There's Parker and Sarah and I in the corner of the Bowery Ball, and look at me going, I'm so happy. See, I do like some stuff, and they had all their outfit. Oh my god, I love. They one of the things that I'm always bummed about is that if I wanted to, I could have dressed up in one of the monster costumes and gotten beat up at an Aquabats show, and I just never had the balls to do it.
Could you have would they have set you on fire? The first time we saw them was before you saw them. We saw them at the Roseland.
Yeah.
It's
I thought you saw them a couple of times before you.
Yeah. We did. Yeah. And but the first time we saw them at Roseland, that was Blink 182. That was the tour where they stole Travis away.
Oh, right.
And the thing is, it's they set fire to fucking a milkman.
Powdered milkman.
So there was fire and shit. We're there going, no one okayed this, right? They couldn't have okayed this.
If you remember, I think that people were yelling about the fire, and they said, "No, we can't do fire."
Yeah.
They basically like, we're not doing fire anymore. But there was a show that we went to because after we were working on Yo Gabba Gabba, Sarah and I were taking the baby out, and that was the first show she saw, and she also was in the womb. She was in the belly when we saw them at the kitchen or whatever that place was called, the horror show where they shut it down.
Yeah, was that the Knitting Factory?
The Knitting Factory. Sorry, right, not the kitchen. Yeah, which was funny because that's when you figured out that Sarah was pregnant.
Yeah, I guessed, right.
You guessed, and she was like, "What? Did you tell him?" And I'm like, "No." And I was like, "He just watches things. He pays. He's like Columbo for our crowd."
Yeah,
and
with a silly hat on.
But it's okay. But when we saw them in Jersey, I don't think it was City Gardens. It was some other place in the middle of nowhere. Is City Gardens still around? I think it might be. I don't know. But we saw them, and they were like, they were talking about, if you want to wear if you want to get one of the costumes, you can come up. And I was like, between my bad back and my anxiety, I really wanted to do it. I would have loved to have gone up and fight and do that shit at a show. But I was really afraid, what if I fuck it up? What if you know what I mean? What if I don't see where I'm going and I fall down and I bust something? I just didn't want to mess up their show.
Yeah.
Old man thing. But I would have loved to have gotten into one of the monster things and start. Oh, I would love that. Plus, if you have something covering your face, I would feel a little less
self-conscious.
Self-conscious. But I would have been so happy to do that. But
well,
I love the Aquabats. They're so nice.
We're approaching the 3.5 hour mark. Yeah.
8, 10. We should wrap it up, right?
Probably, yeah. We should say thanks everybody.
We're brought to you by Choco Pie, now in the large variety pack. Unless there's one Choco Pie in here.
Would you eat one like a piggy for us, Evan? Would you eat one like a piggy?
Wow. Role reversal.
How do the piggies eat? I'd like to thank everybody that came and listened. I hope I got to your questions right. I hope I didn't ignore anybody. So, I hope you had a good time.
We're doing our best. We are the Uncle Floyd of podcasts. Oh, wow. It's got marshmallow filling. What I used to eat, I wish we could go to the Harwan and have little ice cream sandwiches and watch horror movie double features. And punk rock kid laughing at us. What are you old people doing here?
And also, everybody. I hope everybody has a great Halloween, great safe Halloween. Sorry if this Halloween isn't as, cool as most of them are, but stay safe. Stay safe.
Good thing is everybody has Halloween all the year usually now, so fuck it. So that's
okay. There you go.
Oh.
Come on, don't fuck that up. Don't laugh, you asshole. This is important. Now you fucking wasted it. That's how you have to end this. No one's ever gonna watch us again. Say goodnight, Evan. I'm Paul Yellovich, by the way. That's Evan Dorkin. He's got shit in his mouth. That happens a lot. And we would like to say, are you gonna die? Do I not stop? I will sell this footage of your death.
It was that hard.
Okay. Good night, everybody.
Good night, Paul.
Good night. Bye-bye.
Take care.
Bye-bye.
Should we stay